to maybe let us know who those 8 players are that we're going to be spectating today?
Yeah, absolutely. In order of points scored yesterday, our 8 competitors, I was going to hold up my fingers, but I only got 5 on this hand. We have Biomancer taking the most points yesterday, and also going to be the person that we start watching first today because of that. We've got Fire Oak, we've got Tiku Wabu, got Yoshitsune the cat. For the majority of this broadcast, I believe we'll be referring to Yoshitsune as Yoshi just for speed, and that'll be easy for us, but definitely enjoy seeing Yoshitsune in the lobby. We've got Stewie, we've got TTV Pastelero, so Pastelero, also a streamer on Twitch. We got Kaisop, and we've got Zephyrus as our field for today. You needed 40 points to get here, Yuck, yesterday.
Yeah, that's a lot of points, and it's not easy, as I mentioned. But one thing I want to point out to show how not easy it is the reigning champion from last month, Zillalag, aka Give Free Roll Back, also who won the 1v1 tournament this month, did not make the top 8. And when a fierce competitor like that isn't here, it just goes to show how difficult it can be. And while mentioning that, I also want to mention we do have 2 players that did return from the top 8 last month. Those 2 players are Farouk and Tiku Wabu. So big congratulations to all top 8 players, of course, but special shout out to both Farouk and Tiku Wabu for making it again in a consecutive month.
That's really cool. I know you and Sarah both got a chance to watch Fire Oak and Tiku Wabu compete on the main stage, which they're going to show us what they're made of here today. Yuck, before we get started, I think it's really important that we touch on something. I want to mention the Kickstarter campaign is officially live. And apparently, if we reach the goal within the first 24 hours, it reaches the Kickstarter front page, which really spreads it to many eyeballs, could draw on a whole bunch of new players, which is definitely what we want as players of this game. And there are some different packages available at different price points. Thanks to anyone who's already donated, of course. And if you're interested, you can do !Kickstarter in the chat.
Yeah, if we can bring in more players, that benefits literally all of us, which is fantastic. And also, we want to make sure that we give a huge shout out to Turnt Individual,
Yes.
sponsored the prize pool for last month, and also again for this month. So if you're enjoying the tournaments, whether as a player or a viewer or both, be sure to show some love to Turnt Individual. We're very appreciative for that.
Well, I got another reason, Yuck, that you could show some love to Turnt Individual. Because this event is happening, you could get some crystals today.
Yeah, I like crystals.
It lets you unlock some heroes, let you unlock some borders, some cosmetics. You can spruce up your Fairy Tale Fables avatar if you like to. We've got code !Crystals in chat for this tournament only. So go ahead and type that in if you want to redeem, get your hands on some crystals.
Yeah, the code in game is going to be monthly-May. So
Yes.
monthly-May, but !Crystals in Twitch chat, and that'll get you where you need to be able to get those crystals. You might as well grab them, but make sure you do it during this event, during the stream today.
Well, Yuck, I believe, and I more than believe, I know for a fact that the lobby is organized. I know that we've got a couple of things. We're going to talk about that Kickstarter campaign again. We'll definitely share about the crystals again. We got a few more things to talk about for sure, but I also know that we're going to be pretty eager to jump in and start to see the action. I got a chance to watch a lot of gameplay yesterday, saw a variety of strats making it to final comps, final boards, different things winning in the end. Had one particular game that went 30 rounds in Hunter versus Hunter. We're in for some interesting ones today, I think. At least I hope.
Yeah, a couple things I want to get to is that there was a patch fairly recently with
True.
some new characters, some new heroes, and so this month's tournament might look vastly different. We will certainly see some things look similar, but between the balance changes and the new things added, we've got some things to watch out for. And with the amount of time that these players have had to practice on this patch, I think really it will benefit the players that have had the most time. Things like heroes, you don't get to play every game. So if you've had more reps on a given hero, you probably have a better feel for it. And so I will be curious to see how many players gravitate towards or away from some of the new things in the game. It'll be interesting to watch. And also, before we get started, one last thing, Horse. How about we talk about the format today, which is going to be the race format?
Good call. Yeah. I know you generally are the one who describes it when the two of us are talking about this, but let me give it a stab. So you've got 8 players, correct? We took the entire field from yesterday by points, narrowed it down to the top 8 players. All of those points are out the window. That was yesterday. Today, blank slate, everything is refreshed. We start from scratch. You have one job today. Now, we've got a points breakdown. It's the usual 10, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for going from first to eighth. So 10 points for first place finish, 1 point, correct, for an eighth
No,
place?
no, you're slightly off there. It's
Oh,
actually 0 points for eighth,
0 points. Correct.
but it's very similar to what you were saying.
So the short story here is today our competitor's goal is to reach 16 points. You need to reach 16, 1 6. Once you have those 16 points, you are considered live. So, we knowing that it's first is 10, second is 8, third is 7, you're going to need some high finishes quickly to rack up those 16 points if you want to go live before the rest of the field, because once you are live, then and only then can you win the entire tournament by getting a first place finish. It is possible for you to be live while no one else is and to be the only player in the lobby who has a shot to win the whole tournament. So these players are definitely going to be racing to hit those 16 points to get live as fast as they possibly can, because you got to lock in going live before you can lock in winning the whole thing.
Yeah, and so what it means for us is we're going to be guaranteed at least 3 games, but it could go several more than 3. It's really hard to tell, and that's sort of the fun of it. Because if you don't have enough points, you're not eliminated. You can have a terrible game 1, game 2, maybe even game 3, and you're still in it. You just have to start winning lobbies. And as long as you win a lobby, that means that somebody else can't win the tournament. So you keep yourself live that way. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for the fun storylines that present themselves. But as soon as the player's ready, Horace, I think we're pretty much ready.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm sending some notes behind the scenes that let's just go ahead and fire up a game. I am really excited to see, and I got to watch every last one of these players play yesterday. So, we're hitting the button, Yuck.
Yeah,
We got a countdown.
let's get right to it. I know the players have been waiting and they're ready to go. Let's not drag this out. Let's get straight into it. So we're going to spectate Biomancer, as Horse mentioned, who was the highest point scorer from yesterday. So congratulations to Biomancer. But also, as you mentioned, Horace, the points reset. You're all going into it. It's 0. And we're going to start off with the options of Sphinx, Fafnir, Artemis, and Phantom of the Opera.
Notably, no brand new heroes in the select. It looks like Biomancer goes pretty quickly to Artemis and locks it in. I kind of can't blame Biomancer here. Sphinx to me is a little bit hit or miss, can be quite good, can be quite bad. Fafnir, I don't think is much of a hero at the moment. And Phantom has an incredible amount of upside, but can you survive 5 turns taking minimum damage to actually realize it? It's a sketchy proposition in these lobbies.
Yeah, Phantom does have some massive upside, but sometimes it misses. It's a bit of a gamble because you don't know what your hero options are going to be. Ultimately, you're going to have 2 of them, but there are times where all 4 choices I've run into haven't been very appealing. So, not wanting to take the risk, wanting to get off to a strong start, and opting to take Artemis. And speaking of new things, there's the Beast in
Yeah.
the shop. I don't know if Biomancer is going to consider it here, but it is a brand new character and is a quest character.
Yeah, I have had a little bit of chance to play the beast now, and getting a level 2 treasure, not that big of a payout. It's a level 2 treasure. That's all fine and good. But it's kind of interesting flipping a whole bunch of things good and evil with beauty a little bit later. Right now, it kind of strikes me as a 3-1 that you could stick in slot 1 and let it shoot a little bit harder than Elaine, but it looks like we opt to just take the Elaine, skip the beast. We're not interested in that game plan.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning that there was the 1 cost sword item in the shop, and on the 3 gold turn, something like that can be very nice. But we decide not to lock for it. We have a shop with the second Elaine, but also a frog, and it looks like we are going to grab the frog, which means we're likely going to want to use that freshen up and hope we hit a spell to be able to wake up the
Oh,
frog.
wow.
Exactly what we do, and never punished for not locking. Didn't look like we even considered locking for that sword. I guess we just knew we were going to find it this turn anyway.
How about that 1 cost sword? Yuck, that you were talking about. What if we don't lock it? We just find it anyway. What if we that we have lovingly in the community dubbed the toothpick? Looks like Biomancer gets the perfect run out, and I have to kind of wonder if this was premeditated somewhat because Freed Prince is a really good slot one character for Artemis in the early game. And we saw the Elaine pick up on turn one. I gotta imagine Freed Prince might have been on Biomancer's mind. Maybe Biomancer has some experience and some reps playing Artemis and kind of knows how to curve it out in a way that you'll fight well and not take damage in the early game.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough for any of our opponents because it's hard for them to have something that can get through the Freed Prince immediately. Plus, it's going to have range, so it's going to get incredible value. Not only are we not expecting to take damage, there's a decent chance that we can win fights as we do here and start dealing damage to our opponents, which really adds up. You start damaging the opponents now, it puts them in a more difficult situation going forward, and you can hopefully snowball with your advantage. And we're going to pick up a pair. It's a pair of bluebells.
Interesting. Yeah, Bluebell, not a lot of power early on. And it's one that I don't see making late game boards quite as much. I know very, very late game Star Tech, you can do something like a duelist to drop a Bluebell onto your board to get some really quick stars. If you have other things that are powering up your stars, very, very good later on potentially. But even now, I'm not seeing a lot of that get played either. So it's going to be interesting to see what this leads into.
Well, Bluebell did get a buff in the most recent patch, so the stars deal a little bit more damage than they used to. And then also, you can maybe factor in that we're Artemis and have an extra ranged attack, so it's a little more likely that we get enough attacks in for the stars to actually fire. So I don't know if that's part of the consideration or just the fact that it's a pair already makes it kind of interesting. So we'll see where this leads us as we get into the combat for turn number 3.
And Yuck, you're gonna have to talk about the oh wait, no, I spectated Fire Oak. I wanted to start to get a sense of who everybody was playing in the lobby, so I'm gonna jump around real quick.
Okay,
We just saw Fire Oak on the Odysseus for that fight. Gonna jump over here. It looks like we got Tiku Wabu on the Savitri. And Yoshitsune the cat, aka Yoshi, is playing. Oh, well, they're playing Little Match Girl. Sorry, we had a treasure select pop up right when I went there. Looks like Stewie is our Sinbad, and Pastelero appears to be our Fisher King. Yes. Kaisop has, apologies, I have to click through a few different channels. Kaisop is our Freya. And last but not least, Zephyrus is playing our Wayward Sister. So we do have a new hero. Or no, that's Scheherazade. I apologize. I didn't recognize the art instantly.
Yep, Scheherazade. So as we're back to Biomancer here, we see there's a new U in the shop. We don't really have a great character for that new U, which is kind of too bad. The turn right after you level up is a spot where it's at least somewhat tempting. But we have a pair of Consties. It looks like we're not going to take the pair because we already bought the 2-cost sword out of the shop. And we're going to take the Pirate Gunner. We don't have anything in hand to catch the buff from the Pirate Gunner. And it looks like Biomancer is not going to try to greed for those extra stats. Instead, going to opt to play the strongest board possible for this turn.
Yeah, I mean, you could put stats on Elaine if you really felt like it, but will Elaine really stick around for a long time versus if you just save a couple of points of HP here? Matter of fact, we maybe could have gotten away with hand buffing looking at how the fight ran out. However, I don't begrudge Biomancer wanting to play strong, maintain HP, just continue a little bit deeper into the lobby because we're just now buying things that are going to probably get cycled out at some point. We're looking for some line into a bigger stat boost than we have right now, of course, with every shop that we're cycling through, but we're not there yet.
Also worth noting that we're dealing extra damage to our opponents by playing an extra character. It's 1 extra damage, sure, but making sure we win the fight, dealing damage, it's more relevant in a tournament than it is even on ladder. And on ladder, I think it can certainly be relevant. So because of the hero power, we now have a Freed Prince in slot 1 that has range. A Pirate Gunner naturally has range. Rapunzel's Prince has Unyielding. And then the Elaine in the back row also has range. So we have a lot of extra attacks potentially on our board, in addition to the stars that fire from the bluebells.
And Biomancer's just making this board stronger. You talked about being able to win fights and deal a little bit of damage early. Yeah, I mean, you've got a hero that has a hero power that is online instantly, right? That's kind of the advantage of picking Artemis over all the other heroes that we saw in the hero select. So if you have an advantage early, I suppose you should take advantage of that advantage early.
Yeah, I mean, we can already look at the top of the screen here and see the amount of damage some of these other players have taken. Looks like the Savitri is still very healthy, but a lot of these players have already started to take a bit of damage. And as we go into the matchup against Pestolero, we will again try to put some damage, this time on a Fisher King, who, yeah, you want to deal with them early because their hero power doesn't do anything until later. And as you mentioned, our hero power is online immediately.
Yeah, so a little bit of the gamesmanship of tournament play coming into play for sure in terms of playing strong and being able to do a little bit of damage. But also, if you are in this lobby right now, you have to be thinking about top twos, specifically top twos, because the only way you make it live in 2 games is to get a top two. You have to get at least one top two. You get 10 for a first, you get 8 for a second, you get 7 for a third. You can't get there on 2/3. You can get there on a first and a third. You can't get there on a second and a third. So your goal right now, if you really want to have a shot to seal this thing up fast, is to win or get second place in this lobby. And if Biomancer stays incredibly healthy through the early game and then finds something to do, say level 4, level 5, it's going to go very well for Biomancer's chance, just to have a top two in this game.
So something I'm noticing here is you had mentioned how the bluebells don't make the final boards as often as maybe they once did, but we put a bluebell in hand. There could be a couple of reasons for that. It's not the strongest thing on our board, but also if we're going to buff it with the pirate gunner, maybe there is some consideration for trying to keep it around a little bit longer.
True. Yuck, I think it's a little disappointing that we're lacking one ranged character on our front row. We almost have if we could just
Yeah.
get 4 more ranged characters, we could officially have Oops All ranged. I mean,
Well,
you're seeing how it's fighting out. It's working.
and 2 of our 3 in the back row are unyielding. They're not the biggest characters, but if they can maybe get multiple attacks, that they get, twice as much value or thrice as much value some of the time. So yeah, this is just a very strong board, and you can see by the results we just are winning the fights. This one very close, only 1 health remaining, but we managed to win.
That one very close against a Genie Sandstorm. Yoshi already out here casting the combat spells as you probably should in this format.
Yeah, I think we will see the play be somewhat adjusted for tournament play, a little more emphasis on tempo. And we've seen that already just from watching Biomancer. And that's probably one of the characters we've wanted the most here, the Moth. So it works well with the Bluebell. It's also a boost character. So not only is it giving extra stats to these range characters, but also we had a boost ring. And now our entire back row has ranged and or unyielding. So, yeah, this is already a good turn. We have 4 gold remaining. There's a 4-cost shield. It doesn't necessarily look like the best pickup, but when you have an Ori, you get extra benefits from having an extra item here. So we do grab that.
Yeah, I wanted to. We didn't really comment on it, but I like that Ori pickup from last turn. It looks a little awkward on this board. It doesn't really. You got some star things, you got some royal things, you got some range things. Meanwhile, Ori is just this unyielding dwarf, kind of an oddball. The only thing that's neutral aligned on the whole entire board. However, Ori is a really strong character on level 3. Just if you can get a couple of items to stack up and get a few extra stats, it can win you a few fights. And we're not married to this Ori. We can certainly find another Moth, or we can certainly pivot and cycle around and do different things. But it does look like there is an emphasis on items in Biomancer's play, and that always interests me because I feel like maybe I don't buy items enough, but I see some really good players buying items frequently early in the game at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's making us a bit stronger on board. We're not running the risk of wasting our gold by refreshing the shop and maybe still not finding something that we want. So it is a pretty safe play and sometimes a very good play. As many ranged characters as we have, we don't have enough for Zephyrus, who has a couple agents of the moon in the back row, already pretty decent sized at that. We take some damage, just not a lot. We're just knocked down to 25, so we're still in an okay spot. But one thing worth noting is we're not heavy on pairs and we have no treasures. We are getting to the stage of the game where I would expect that we would want to be, getting closer to at least our first treasure.
Yeah, I would kind of like to see a 3 pair, a 4 pair, something pop onto this board to make it look like it's gonna get a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker here. We're rolling. We're seeing some things. We're not really seeing any good character pairs as we go. I did want to comment Scheherazade that last turn, talking about heroes early on about having no hero power on level 2. Looks like it's a good sign of life that you just beat the board that hasn't lost a fight yet in this Artemis board for Biomancer. I think that was that Yoshi on Scheherazade? But all of the buffs on level 3, you get one buff character each turn on level 3. It looks like they were just starting to catch up, and we got pairs over there. So that seems like a really healthy sign for that Scheherazade board.
Yeah, great call. Completely agree with that. Well, no pair for us this turn. We do pick up Radiant Fairy though, which loves getting the boost. Loves the item, one of the items that we picked up, especially when we have all these ranged characters. So we pass on that attack, and it's very likely to pass on to a character. Let's hope it doesn't hit the blue bell in this case. But it's very likely to get extra value even beyond the numbers themselves
Yuck,
because
how
of the
often do you
range
see a
component with that.
ranged Radiant Fairy?
It's not every day, but I mean, really, how often do you see three ranged characters across the front row on turn eight? It's just
Also,
not
not
the
every day.
yeah, it's
No.
not the most common, no, but it's effective as we've seen.
Well, here's truly a hero with no hero power until the later game. Tiku Wabu on Savitri, and big Angel Warriors look like they're going to pose problems here for Biomancer.
We end up getting a tie, and as this starts shaping up, there's a couple of Rapunzels. We have a couple of boost rings. We don't have really enough boost characters. Just the one moth is a boost character. Chair is very effective in the late game. I don't imagine we'll be playing that right away, but something nice to have around, especially with the addition of the flying spell. You run into a lot more flying characters now. So if you're in a spot where you need to protect your back row, picking up a chair early means you don't have to hunt for it late. So we've done that. It looks like we're considering playing the experience,
Yeah.
which with 4 gold left, it just works out pretty clean.
Oddly, I was looking at that Star Girl. I feel like that might have been something we might have wanted 2, 3 turns ago, potentially. It sure does kind of seem to fit the theme of the board in a little bit, but also I was looking at that Star Girl because I wanted to shout out previous tournament winner, Carol, the artist of the Star Girl. Big props to Carol.
Yeah, and you're right. Maybe a couple of turns ago, we would have wanted the Star Girl. Maybe not so much now. A couple things I could see us doing here. Well, let's just say we have a couple of boost rings. I think there is potential we could be boost comp, but then outside of that, we have more or less just still been playing tempo, and I
Yeah.
think we've left our options open. So when I say a couple of options, I mean we can play boost, which is one of the stronger late game comps. But if those late game pieces don't present themselves, we have left ourselves open to taking any other line that shows itself to be available.
Did you see that on the Pastolero Scout right now that we were just doing on 4.2? There is an upgraded Star Child on Pastolero's board already, so probably upgraded Chameleon on 4.0 got a sleigh, something like that.
Yeah, it could have been that or New You, something like that. But yeah, when you hit a good character off of some type of transform, it's the power spike that really makes it difficult for your opponents to compete. We'll see as we progress if that's enough for Pastolero to stabilize and maybe even take control of the lobby.
Looks like we're up against Stewie Sinbad. And that looks like a pretty convincing Sinbad board over there. We've got a Sleigh Moon as Sinbad's only treasure, so getting double value on the Tengu Sleigh.
Yeah, well, we picked up a chair. We didn't play it. We maybe could have played it there because our opponent did have a Tengu and some back row disruption. And yeah, that ended up being a tough matchup for us. We're knocked down to 17. We do still have all 8 players in the mix right now on turn 10.
We
We
do.
just passed a Portal Wardrobe. I'm not saying it fits here, but it is another new character. I'm a big fan of it. I think you are also a big fan of it. I hope we
Yes.
see that in play at some point today.
We you talked about how we're playing pure tempo, and I like playing pure tempo for quite some time. I like winning fights early. There comes a point though. You also talked about spiking through character transform effects, things like a chameleon, getting that Star Child like we saw Pastolero. You can play pure tempo, but if you never spike, you won't get strong enough to fight. You still
Mm.
need to find some way to spike. So you were talking about how we need some pairs. We do get the Narc here, the Narcissus, which only takes 2 copies of Narcissus to combine. Therefore, you get a level 5 treasure with 10 gold instead of 15 like you normally would. That's at least a step in the direction we want to see, but I'm starting to feel like we're falling off.
Yeah, not having a treasure is becoming more noticeable, let's say. We are picking up some of the pieces. It does look like we're still working towards boost comp, and we already have the moss, so the Star Child just works nicely. But yeah, that's a golden portal wardrobe. I said I
With
hope
a
we would
baby mimicked elemental sword, Yuck.
yeah. I said I'd hope we see it in play. Well, that came to fruition pretty quickly. It's not even just a portal wardrobe, it's a golden one with, as you mentioned, some bonus stats. Thanks to treasures, as we're talking about, we as Biomancer don't have any treasures. It feels like a big disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, Fire Oak's board on that scout, you look at it, it looks a few turns ahead of where we are right now. We're still very open, and we do still have a start. We had an Uther in that first shop too, because you had mentioned all the boost rings. A lot of different angles and potential. Uther individually wouldn't have made this board that much stronger, so I don't mind passing it. But at some point, we need something to go right. We almost need now for a double Star Child shop to just show up as the first shop next turn.
Yeah,
But
so we're gonna
let's see what we do against this portal wardrobe.
yeah, we're gonna show a lot of respect to Fireworks board by playing the combat spell. We even had to sell 2 characters to be able to play it. It does take out a character, but that's a duelist. It summons an owl, and the wardrobe summon ranged characters. Both wardrobes summoning ranged characters.
Wow.
Very, very painful.
Fire Oak now with 4 total portal wardrobes. We'd seen the upgraded one. Fire Oak added 1 more while we were watching Biomancer play the turn, which, can't blame them. Those are strong. We
Yeah,
are on our last 7 HP, and GG's to the little match girl.
yeah. So we're at the stage of the game where it felt like we improved our board every turn, but clearly we haven't improved as much as our opponents. It feels like we're behind. It feels like,
Yeah.
I mean, that was Fire Oak, and maybe not everybody's as strong as Fire Oak in this situation, but it feels like we need something to happen quickly because, as you mentioned, 7 health doesn't give us a lot of wiggle room. It is possible to lose and survive from 7 health, but it's pretty scary going into every single fight from here on out, especially because in the most recent patch horse, there are fewer ways to get healing. So we can heal above 7 potentially, but it's going to be harder to do so.
Yeah, this game here kind of strikes me as you had mentioned that previous monthly winner Zillalag was not here this month. You can just have a day where you get good shops and you play them well, or you get shops and you play your shops well, but they don't really line up in a way that gives you good information as to, oh, the game wants me to go this route. I know the game never really wants anything, right? But if you get the right treasure, you get something directional. At least you have something that you have every business following, and if it pays off, of course, you're going to be in a really good spot. Right now, we don't have anything to follow.
Yeah, I feel like the key and to be one of the better players, you need to know what's the best in the game and what your goal is, but also you need to understand and recognize the situations where you can and cannot go for that line. And that can be tricky sometimes. And just one bad matchup against, maybe the strongest opponent in the lobby. We haven't seen everybody's board, so we don't know. Fire Oak obviously was very strong there. But yeah, one bad opponent or one bad set of fight RNG, one bad turn of shops, and it can really turn your game sideways.
Well, I am starting to wonder just how many treasures Freya has found, because that often becomes a real indicator as to the quality of a Freya game. We're about to find out. Battling it up against Kaisop here. And a full suite of treasures and some pretty intimidating looking smithies.
Yep, pretty decent stats. Not the best treasures, library card, simple dagger, and storybook, but any treasure is better than no treasure. And Biomancer really suffered, I think, from not having any treasures here. So as we get knocked out by Kaisop, we'll pop over and spectate Kaisop here. GG to Biomancer.
Yep, GG's well played. Tough lobby. It's going to be like that all day. Just the way the finals are going to be. All right, so Kais up on the Freya. I love playing Freya, Yuck. Your level 2 and 3 treasures, as you pointed out at the end of that combat. What Kaisop's got for a treasure suite is not the most impressive treasure suite. However, to me, what this is, it's a sign of life. It's if you have a hard time getting any twos or threes, you're gonna have a hard time playing the rest of the game. If you can combine some treasures and survive, have some health to work with. If you get time to start combining up fives and sixes, and then every single one of your characters behaves like a Narcissus, you're going to be in great shape. You're gonna have just access to every single treasure you might want to see on level 5 and level 6, as long as you can piece together units that work well with the treasures that you like. Should be a good game. It looks like Kaisop's got a shot for that.
Yeah, and we see a lot of items here as well. Let me ask you, Horace, are you seeing quality issues in Discord, or is
I
that
am.
just on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, how about we swap away from Kasab? We'll keep an eye on Kasab as we progress through, but we don't want to have the bad quality if we can avoid it. So we saw Farok a little while ago, and we liked the board that we saw. Let's hop over to Farok, Horsey.
Okay. Sounds like a plan to me. I'm also watching Kaisop over there with a Narcissus in shop. That to me is a Freya unit, in that with Freya, once you make a triple at a level, you only need 2 copies of the next 2 triples at that same level, right? So if you make a level 5 treasure, then your next 2 level 5 treasures, a pair combines into an upgrade. If you get a Narcissus triple quick on Freya, you have access to a lot of level 5 treasure potential, which, well, like you said, we'll have to keep an eye on it. We'll see how that progresses, but it looks like good signs of life for Kaisop there.
Yeah,
So
also
fire oak.
Kasab being the highest health player remaining at the
Oh,
moment.
I didn't notice that.
And I don't know if you were going to get to this, but we have an immutable idol here. We do
Mhm.
have a duelist we're using to summon another portal wardrobe. So we have a golden and 2 non golden portal wardrobes. I personally love to see that.
That's what I was focused on. In the time that we were away, we have acquired more wardrobes, which you gotta love it. Oh, and Tiku Wabu's on a hunter build with those angelic warriors up front. However, is it enough stats to deal with this portal wardrobe? A haymaker adding even more stats to the board upon summon, but we don't take away Tiku Wabu's extra life.
That's true. That could end up being big. We'll see how that plays out. Looks like Pastillero, also playing stars, does have a couple of Oberons
Yeah,
with
it looks
not
like a
only that
sword.
golden star child that you saw and pointed out earlier, but a second star child as well.
Double Oberon already on turn 13. I mean, this is the natural go to 6 turn, is it not? I think turn 12 is 5.2, turn 13 is 6.0. So maybe grabbing an experience spell at some point to get to 6 early, but found those Oberons very fast.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to be playing this Cersei's Cup against that. It maybe could be useful. We don't have to worry about the chair so much. We don't have any flying characters here.
No.
We're considering treasures. I didn't see any of these treasures that we necessarily need. We could maybe take the gold, but we're thinking about it here.
Yeah, 2 gold doesn't feel like a whole lot, but a
Mhm.
Merlin's hat, a 1/1 board buff, those don't feel like a whole lot. This is one of those decisions where you kind of just gotta pick something and move on, right? You gotta, because
Yeah.
what's really going to dictate your power upgrade this turn is going to be whatever you can possibly find in the shop. Looks like we're going to re-roll. Okay, I don't mind that. There's some really good level 3 treasures like Baby Mimic, Magic Bean, Chrono
No.
Crystal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, I don't know why that wasn't the first one you said
Well,
because
because I'm an optimist, Yuck. I always think maybe, well, we already got the Baby Mimic, but I'm always thinking about,
uh,
can we get the cool treasure boost in treasure?
let's be realistic here. Chrono Crystal is very good. It's especially good in the tournament format, as you mentioned. Top 3 is needed to be able to potentially be live after game 2. You know
Yeah,
how you can make it more likely to get to top 3? Well,
living.
make sure you don't lose. If you don't lose, you're doing better, right? So Chrono Crystal, I think, has to be at least part of the consideration. However, we have 7 health, and that reroll doesn't happen for 2 turns, so we have to figure out how to get there to even have the chance at that. We'll see if we can make it.
What I'm wondering is if Pastolero has another star generator like a Bluebell to summon with that duelist. We're looking at a board on Pastolero side, and Fire Oak's done the math, right? There are 6 big stars, provided the Oberons are up when they fire. It should be able to clear 6 things on Fire Oak's board. So Fire Oak picked up an Archdemon, then had to play a Husky up front because there was no guarantee the Portal Wardrobe made anything evil. Just putting more bodies on the board. Oh, and we get a transform on the. on the Star Child. This is good.
Yeah, the Celery Tea attacked into the Golden Portal Wardrobe, which looked pretty bad for Fire Oak. However, strong enough outside of that to still be able to win the fight. So, still 6 players alive. We can't see, maybe the Savitri's Revive was used up there. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
We are going to heal up though. Right here, even 1 health can be a big deal. If we lose any fight, we're going to take 6 damage from the hero itself, and then 1 additional damage for any non-golden character, 2 damage for any golden. But any health amount above 7 gives you the possibility to be able to survive a loss.
So, I mean, we locked up the Dr. Frank last turn. We picked it up this turn. We've got the Archdemon. We got these portal wardrobes. Here comes another Dr. Frank. It
Yeah.
seems pretty obvious where we may be veering from here. And I got to say, I don't mind it.
No, there's always a chance that these wardrobes summon evil characters as well. We don't have control over that, and we don't know, but it would benefit us if they did. Yeah, surely we're gonna pick up another Dr. Frank here, and this is a pivot towards scam. We're gonna maybe look to add more and more scam the longer we survive, but this is already a pretty solid start. But uh, we're going to need at least 1 evil character on the front row unless we're willing to gamble. Well, I mean, the duelist will summon an evil character. That might be enough. And then the Archdemon, of course. I was going to say, unless we want to gamble on the portal wardrobes, maybe summoning an evil. There are 3 of them. Like, the likelihood that one of them summons an evil is, I would think, relatively high.
I really don't know what the ratio would be. It seems fairly random. Huh.
Yeah.
If there are more goods than evils in the pool, but I don't have that, I don't know that information.
Yeah. I don't think I would take the risk, and it looks like Fire Up doesn't want to either. We're just going to summon an evil character with the duelist, and we're going to choose not to summon the Mat, which, it probably because it has stealth. I'm guessing you just want to make sure. There you go. Just play the Harbinger on board, and then make sure that it doesn't somehow avoid getting attacked into, because you want it to get knocked out early, and then the Archdemon summon another evil there, and then the Dr. Franks can get, hopefully as much value as possible from the back row.
We've already seen the Cersei's cups flying. Imagine you get your duelist turned into a pig and your wardrobes don't make anything evil. That would be an absolute disaster. So this looks good. That smithy, that's not upgraded. We had 2 smithies last time around, so I gotta imagine one's coming out of the duelist here. Wow, we got a 300 Tempe in play now.
We do, but a Tempe is somewhat vulnerable to scam, including the Trimanet that summons in the front row. So Kasab does survive on 1 health, which is pretty big, partially thanks to that Witch Hunter's Talisman treasure. And surviving on 1 is big here. You also have the Savitri still sitting on 1 health. So really, really close fight there. Well done by Farouk to be able to win another one. Yeah, we're getting down to it. Everybody's pretty low health, and I think every fight for every player is going to be scary from here on out.
Now, Stewie here, our Sinbad opponent, playing a strategy that I typically am nervous to play because there are some strategies that can put up big stats so quickly that if your slay board isn't so far ahead stats wise compared to the boards you're fighting, sometimes you run into a brick wall, you don't get slays, you get entirely shut down. That's not going to be the case here against Fire Oak. Fire Oak's board is very slayable and just creates more tokens for you to slay on top of that. So it's going to be very interesting to see if enough scam is generated, enough relevant, useful scam is generated in the process. It looks like Fire Oak's going to buy a mirror to make it a little bit less RNG.
Yeah, a little harder to slay against the mirror if you get it in the right spot to match up your opponent's biggest character. You're right, slay can be very strong, however, if you are in the right matchup. And it looks like this matchup, as you mentioned, is vulnerable to slay. So we'll see how this one plays out. We did not see a Woman in the Moon on that board, though. It doesn't mean they won't find one this turn, but that's really what Slay wants to try to put it over the top. Is it looks like we're working towards more evil characters, more scam. So if we have more evil characters, we'll get more summons from the Dr. Franks, and it looks like we're just going to lean into that.
Yeah, the problem is we really have nothing to deal with the young Tengu, and we're really hoping it doesn't hit the Archdemon in the back, but we're hoping it doesn't hit the Dr. Frank. There's no good target for this Tengu for us.
Yeah, we're hoping it doesn't attack anything, which we know that it will because we can't attack into it. we don't have anything big enough to deal with it, even if we attack first and attack into it,
We
right?
got
So
1 out of 7 on a Cersei's Cup. That's what we got.
unless it looked like Firework was actually considering the mirror on the wall in Slight 1, which does give you the 12.5% chance of attacking first and attacking into the character directly across from you, which is interesting to think about. Firework opting not to do that, though. However, wait, what is the interaction there with Immutable Idol? I think it would be okay, right?
Yeah, I think the entrance would still happen. So we lose a Frank. We don't get anything for it. We kind of knew that that was going to happen, but we're going to get max Archdemon value, which means the second Frank is a full board refill. There is a Woman in the Moon now for Stewie. That was picked
Yeah.
up last turn.
Yeah, and this Dr. Frank is the only chance we have to try to deal with it. We also still have to try to deal with the Nocturne as well. And there's a brave little
Okay.
Taylor, but it doesn't get to attack.
Wow. We had a mirror spawn in the perfect spot to get the Woman in the Moon stats, and it just was not quite enough. I thought that was going to get us to a draw, but we're not there.
All right, well, we're knocked out by Stewie. Let's pop over and watch Stewie here. Yeah, that was close, that combat. It felt like the combat RNG wasn't bad. The stars from the Nocturne didn't even give the Taylor a chance to attack.
And as you say that, Stewie's making the Nocturne bigger.
Yeah. Well, we
hard to
talked
argue.
about this. Yeah, we talked about it. You said it's risky to play Slay, and it definitely is. We see more chairs being played currently as well. So starting off with something like a Tengu, it's good until you attack directly behind your opponent's chair. And I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing some chairs against us. We do still have a Hermes that can slay potentially. We have the Kleck. It's not the only way to slay the Tengu, but positioning might be a consideration. And we do know Kasap has had that chair for a while, so we might want to consider moving that Tengu to a different position. In fact, Stewie does move it.
Yeah, this is not your average ladder lobby where one player might be doing laundry, another player might be washing the dishes, some 4 of the players might be on their phone distracted, got the TV on in the background, sitting on the couch. Everybody is focused. Everybody is scouting. Everybody is looking to counteract what you are doing. You are playing against people who got here because they were focused and they played around you all day yesterday. So you're not going to get away with very obvious things like a giant Tengu without someone dropping a chair to counter it. You may still want to play a giant Tengu. They're very good, but yeah, you're going to have to deal with a lot of counterplay and counterplaying the counterplay. And this is where things start to get really interesting and intriguing is when you get in these top 3, top 2 situations. Now, nobody's got any health to work with, so I don't think we're going to have a long top 3 sequence here, but these are where the counterplay tech really start to shine.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot I want to talk about here. Our opponent also has shields in the front row, which makes it hard, very hard. We need to attack into the Captain Hook to be able to get our first Slay. We have Crescent Blade, so that first Slay is massive stats on the Woman in the Moon. But what did I just say? I just said Captain Hook. That's a character we don't see a lot of. And we have seen this board already, and we know they were summoning a big, I think it was a Tempe last time we saw it.
And there it is.
And yep, there it is. So that's going to be too much for us. Yeah, this opponent here, Kasap, is very difficult for us. And I think as the Slay player, it would have been best for us if somebody else could have knocked them out. However, that opponent gets the ghost, and we have to fight the Savitri.
I thought you were going to make a comment about Fire Oak leaving them on 1.
Well, that too. Yeah, I mean,
if someone else knocked him out, Fire Oak left 2 players in 2 successive fights on 1. Left the Savitri on 1, which then we believe Savitri might have lost that extra life.
We just saw it. It's not there.
It's
so
gone.
At some point they lost it. Yeah.
And then leaving Kaisop on 1. If Fire Oak had been able to squeeze out 1 more point of damage 2 fights in a row, this would have been a completely different game.
All right. Well, this is a smart play. I think we're locking the Blizzard because if we win this fight, first of all, if we somehow tie, which is not impossible against Hunters do find ways to tie, then we get the Ghost next round, and locking here is a little bit awkward. But if we do manage to win this fight, that Blizzard is exactly what we need against the next opponent to be able to get the first Slay, which then helps us snowball the fight.
Yeah, that's smart proactive play. I love those situations too. You'll do it sometimes when you think there's a possibility you're going into a ghost fight, or you think there's a possibility you're going into a top 2. You lock like a Cersei's Cup, and then like you said, you get to the ghost fight, you go, okay, I guess I rolled this off. I don't need it anymore. That's too bad. I wasted a gold. But when you get to the actual, you knock out the 3rd place opponent, and you get into the top 2, and you got your cup waiting for you. You feel real good about it.
I got a question for you, Horse. Do you think Woman in the Moon is allergic to Slay items?
I don't know what's going on with that. And I know it happens on occasion. I don't know where Woman in the Moon thinks their inventory slot is, but
Yeah,
apparently it's off to the right.
just holding it off to the side. No problem. It still works, right?
I'm looking at Tiku Wabu's attack. We're only turn 17. This is not incredibly late into a game of Fairy Tale Fables.
Yeah.
What I'm often looking for when I'm looking at a hunter board in the late game and then in the ultra late game, I want to see triple digit attack. We're not there yet on Tiku Wabu's board.
Well,
And I didn't see, are we scaling with a Watson or is it only Gretel scaling we're relying on?
yeah, we also don't see summons. You often see hunters want to summon a lot of things from hand, but we did see a magic bean as one of the treasures with a pair of 6s on board. There's always a chance we see a level 7 treasure here. It's not super likely, but we'll have to keep an eye out for that. And there is a treasure, but it's not one that impacts the fight here.
We got a lot of Van Helsings. We've got 6 total, 2 upgraded Van Helsings on Tiku Wabu's side, and that's going to be plenty to deal with Stewie here. That's a KO on Stewie. GG's to Stewie. We're in top 2.
What I'm wondering, Horse, is when we scouted, we didn't see the duelist. I'm guessing they had it in hand and maybe just didn't need to play it the fight before. I'm guessing is what happened there.
Maybe. There can be some real advantages to being able to withhold information at times. I apologize. I appear to have jumped in the wrong channel. Oh, okay. Yuck, I'm having a bit of a breakdown here. Let's go.
So Tiku Wabu, right?
Tiku Wabu. Yes, yeah. Tiku Wabu. Tiku Wabu.
And yeah, we see there's a whole handful of characters here. We just couldn't see it when we scouted. Now
it's not 6 Van Helsings, Yuck. It's a Golden King.
Yeah, it is a Golden King. Yeah. So the matchup can be a bit different here. So you may not want to play everything exactly the same. Looks like we're giving some consideration to that. The shields, we now do also see a Blackbeard on our opponent's board. And you know, Horse, that is in theory at least a board that could consider a Frankenstein's monster.
That is true. You got the magic scarf. I don't know. You probably noticed that. That's why the Blackbeard's so large, because the Tempe's aura is getting doubled up on the bench, so the Blackbeard's getting a whole bunch of extra stats. Also noticed notably the Witch Hunter's talisman over there too, which is going to make it easier for Kaisop to keep fights close, get extra kills at times. I wonder if we'll see a Dr. Frank over there. That is another aura character, or not a Dr. Frank, a Frank's monster. Frank's monster.
Yeah, a Frank's monster, exactly. So yeah, with the Golden King, we have the 2 separate duelists that are going to be golden when the fight starts. So they'll each summon 2 characters, which allows us to pick up a second brave little tailor in addition to our big hunters. So we're going to combine scam with stats, and usually when you combine scam with stats, that's pretty scary to go up against.
Yeah. Yep. We've learned that those big Admiri dwarf boards where everything is mostly melee and fights pretty fair tend to melt if you can mix a little bit of scam in there. So this looks like a very formidable board. 1 health apiece. This could be for all the marbles this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way going into the final fight, or unless there's a tie, what I assume will be the final fight, with both players at 1 health. This has been a fun first game of the day today.
The summon locations on those tailors could not have worked more perfectly for Tiku Wabu.
Yeah.
Right when it was their turn to attack. That is just too much scam for Kaisop's board to handle. GG, well played.
Yeah, very well done, Tiku Wabu. We had the pleasure of bouncing around a lot in this one and seeing a lot of players, a lot of different perspectives. And you know what we didn't see? We didn't see a lot of boards that look like each other. We kind of saw comps all over the place, which is a lot of fun and usually is a sign of a pretty healthy meta.
Yeah. We saw, I don't know that we saw anything that constitutes a pure comp, right? Slay probably was the closest to that in that it had good treasures for what it was wanting to do, but a lot of mixed and matched things and getting a lot of mixed and matched boards and getting scam involved with some way to get some stats on the board. Even though that hero attack wasn't as high as I might have liked to have seen it at that stage of the game, it was plenty to have a few big things on the board that could contest that big Tempe, that big Blackbeard, and then add a couple of tailors into the mix, and you got a board that can really fight.
Yeah, incredible game number one. We're gonna take a short break here in just a moment. Before we do, let's be sure to shout out the Kickstarter again,
Yeah.
which is live now and already off to a good start. I'm just saying, with a comment from Livy, who's running our production today. So let's see if we can keep that going. If we can, in fact, as a community, get to that Kickstarter goal, it will get the Kickstarter to the front page, which could get in front of new sets of eyes. And if we can get in front of new sets of eyes, maybe we can help grow the player base, which we would all love.
Yep. Exclamation point Kickstarter in chat. If you want more information, you wanna get a link to the page, you wanna hop on over there and check it out. Absolutely. And props to everybody who's donating already. This is really great. Like Yuck just said, it's good news. The more folks that we can get involved and the more we can spruce this game up, the better it is for all of us. So Yuck, you mentioned it's probably time to go to a quick break. I suppose we ought to kick that off now.
Yeah, and for anybody in chat, if you need something to kill time, we're gonna be gone just a couple of minutes here, but you can't always use the code in chat !crystals to get the gem code, or sorry, the crystal code for this month, and then maybe even open up the game and go ahead and redeem that because it is only available during today's tournament. So go ahead and do that while we're gone, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. And welcome back to day 2 of the May monthly Fairy Tale Fables tournament. We don't want to keep the players waiting too long here. We shouted out before the break the Kickstarter, exclamation Kickstarter, the crystals, exclamation crystals in Twitch chat to get those links or the link and the code. Also, let's go ahead and shout out all of the new art in the game. Horace, we've got a lot of new art as it's ready. It keeps getting added to the game, and a number of new characters that were added in the most recent patch.
Yeah, it's too many pieces for me to keep track of in my head at this point. So many individual pieces of art in the game have been touched and updated at this point. I think a lot about the dwarves. I think Fire Mage may be my favorite of the batch so far, but that's in close contention with the Star Girl because that was drawn by Carol, and of course we love Carol. Carol's great, and of course Carol has that spicy, unique crown, monthly tournament winner cosmetic. So that's pretty sweet too. So definitely shout out to Carol today multiple times. I guess.
I'm glad you mentioned the cosmetic. The winner today will not only win the cash prize, $125, but they'll also get the monthly tournament border, the tournament winner border, which I would like to have that. There's no shot for us to get it, which I'm willing to accept. But if I want it, I'm sure these players also would like to have it. So that's a pretty big deal in my opinion. Also, second and third place will also get cash prizes. The top 8 today, everybody from the top 8 today will get the battle pass for a month. So already winning just by being here and playing today. And then there are some other prizes as well for players that played in the tournament and got high enough placements. So congratulations to everybody that earned anything in the tournament. Again, shout out to everybody that played yesterday and did not make the top 8. It's hard to make the top 8. We are here watching some of the best players in the game, and it's been enjoyable so far. Only one game in, we saw Tiku Wabu take the victory, who, again, also made the top 8 last month, so pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. That's consistency, and consistency in this format is impressive. I think we're ready to jump into game 2 at this point. I believe we'll stick with Tiku Wabu as the winner of the previous lobby, so whenever production is ready, let's go ahead and hit that button and get the countdown going. I'm rip roaring and ready to get into a game, Yuk.
Yeah, same. And yeah, we should spectate Tiku Wabu on this one. And while we wait for this lobby to start, it looks like it's starting now. I don't know how many mobile players we have in the chat, but there is a new iOS Fairy Tale Fables app, and the Android app is waiting approval, but should be coming soon. So if you're a mobile player, be sure to keep an eye out for that Android app.
And we're looking at Queen of Hearts, Tinkerbell, the Wayward Sisters, and Bearskin. This time around, we get 2 new heroes.
Yeah,
from the last patch offered.
I said I was wondering how players would, interact with the new heroes, whether they would gravitate towards them or away from them. Queen of Hearts, for instance, feels like a fairly strong hero, but there is a learning curve. It feels very different. It plays very differently. Playing it in a tournament might feel a little too risky. Bearskin, not necessarily what I would consider one of the best heroes, but it's been around for a while and can be very strong if you get the right shops to start out. Looks like we're going to go with Bearskin here.
I have a hard time giving Tiku Wabu a hard time about picking Bearskin because I think Queen of Hearts can be very strong, but I don't feel comfortable playing it yet. I don't feel like I've put enough games on Queen of Hearts to feel like I know exactly how to make best use of it. Of course, you can put summoners in the squares that lose stats and put the stuff you like in the squares that gain them, but they're moving around. It's awkward. And Wayward Sisters is one where the way I've been playing it the few times I've played it, I pretty much get to new you, aka transform a shop into the characters of the next level, or I feel like I just don't have a hero power all game. So that's one I really got to wrap my head around. Bearskin, however, could not be more straightforward. Put a thing on your board. If it's got the lowest attack, it's going to get extra stats.
It's really nice with Bearskin if you can get a lot of your characters, sometimes even all of your characters, to the same amount of attack. Pretty hard to do that when you start out with a parrot who has 3 attack. So we'll see where we go from here, but we're going to be gaining some amount of stats regardless. So I think it is possible to over focus on the ability, the hero power, but we'll be looking certainly to take advantage of it as much as we can. And putting it on specific characters, like for instance a range character, could be meaningful. Um, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to take out of this shop. Maybe something that we hold in hand as well, since we have the parrot.
I was pretty convinced Tikuwabu was locking for that attack spell because having some attack is always nice and on level 2 in order to tie up combats. And sure enough, Tikuwabu grabbed that spell and then looked to spend a few moments considering the shop. Looks like you're right. We are opting to go ahead and maybe grab a parrot buff if we can. Putting it on the Elaine makes all the sense in the world with the range tag. It's going to be difficult, like you said, to balance, and I think it might end up being a bit of a bait to attempt to balance the board to have all the same starting attack number. But if you can get away with a little bit of that on level 3, level 2, you're only getting one attack every single time you get a buff. It's not really that useful, important, relevant. It's fine. You'll take your one attack, right? We don't mind having a 5 attack parrot, and we wouldn't mind having something else on the board with a little extra attack, sure. But when you hit level 3, you actually start getting some health too. So if you can have 4, 5, sometimes 6 characters that all have the same attack on level 3, and you can kind of passively just farm stats on that board for several turns before you get into level 4, you can have some things that turn into really big characters when you combine them and you add all those stats together into one board slot. And you're feeling pretty good about the game from there.
This is an interesting turn, Horse. There are a couple things that I see that we can do here. There's a 2-cost item which gives 3 attack. So we could get the second Elaine up to 5 attack and then play the 3 attack parrot on the bench. That is one thing we could have done. There are some other options here as well. The shield page can be pretty good with the parrots to make it more likely that they get a chance to attack. Sometimes can even attack a second time if you're very lucky. We're gonna opt for a little bit late for the sprout, but with this hero, you can scale it a little more quickly if you can get the attack lined up just right. Not to mention we have the 2 parrots, and if we can get those slays, it'll gain some stats.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, we got both parrot slays because Stewie also running a parrot, but Stewie got quote unquote both parrot slays because it survived the first slay. So a lot of potential bonus stats in hand for multiple players this turn. Hopefully you don't end up being the next person to face them. It looks like Hercules won't be so lucky. Tikuwabu putting that big tree out on the board, and this shop does not look incredible to my eye.
Yeah, on ladder, this is the type of shop where I might consider a future vision. In a tournament, probably not gonna even consider that. We are swapping some things around. We're not taking full advantage of our hero power here, but fluff. It looks like we're grabbing a fluff. Okay.
Yeah, well, I talked about wanting to hit maybe 4, 5, 6 characters on level 3 because you start to get a health benefit to the buff. We can only hit 1 right now. This does not feel comfortable. We're gonna really need the next shop to line up well and give us something good to play with, because you're watching Tikuwabu not know what to spend the last couple of bucks on here. You don't want the talking frog. you don't want the apprentice owl. None of those are doing anything. Like, are we gonna buff a talking frog in hand? I guess so. It's the best of the worst.
There's probably some consideration to what's the likelihood that we get slays with the parrots. What are the stats going to be on these 2 characters? Both of them can gain stats. The frog by flipping it into the prince, the owl by playing spells. So there might be some thought there going into how to make use out of the hero power. So it's always a consideration, even if you're not perfectly set up for it. But you know what we are perfectly set up for? A second green fluff.
Well, yuck, you can fluff, and then you got a fluff if you do. And here we are. These are not the fluff. These are actually the young fluff. The red fluff is the fluff. But yeah. Looking like we're getting a few more options again, though a little bit awkward in that I saw the mouse go to the pirate gunner, which is cool. Now we at least get 2 buffs on the board. It's going to be a moment before, and we may just not be buffing more than 2 or 3 characters this entire game, which in my mind is not necessarily a problem. I think there's a way that I play Bearskin where I have a very even attack board on level 3 and I collect as many passive buffs on level 3 as I can, and then come level 4, level 5, I stop worrying about it so much, or I just kind of stop worrying about it on level 3 and just have to play the shops and put together the strongest board I possibly can, collecting whatever stats I can, manipulating it a little bit. If you get a 1 attack sword and it allows you to get a couple extra buffs, you do it. I think we're going to have to kind of just play our board and consider it added value, but not necessarily have a chance to play as much into it as we might like.
Yeah, a couple things I want to point out here. We see Fire Oak on one of the new heroes, as we've talked about there being several new ones. That's Oinksburg Mayor. We also see the Phantom of the Opera, which we discussed at the start of the first lobby, how it could be risky to take Phantom of the Opera, and we see exactly the downside. And the Phantom of the Opera in this lobby has already taken a lot of damage.
Well, and you don't even start with health on Phantom of the Opera as we watch Biomancer versus Tikuwabu here. Enough range to tie the fight. Just both boards are about the same power.
All right, well, just to throw this out there, it's storming pretty bad here, so hopefully no interruptions on my end, but there is always a chance. For
Okay.
now, we see a shop with a Pirate Gunner pair on 3.2. That seems pretty tempting. What about the Sprout pair and the Hot Potato? That would be 7 gold if you wanted to go that route.
Yeah, I'm noticing. Uh-oh.
Oh, so, sorry. Yeah, I can't turn the. Oh, I got it. I got it.
Okay.
Storm warnings.
I thought, wow, that storm kicked in a little faster than even you thought. Yeah, I'm noticing. I thought we pulled the parrot off the board because of the 4 attack. It looked like we had maybe some chance to do something with 5 attack, but it looks like we really can't. Maybe we roll and we triple something up here. Maybe we don't roll. I'm not sure. We've got a fine board for level 3, and we actually do like having 2 pairs of 3 cost units to guide us towards some treasure that could continue to help improve the power level of our board. So it looks like we're just dealing with it. I guess we're debating if we like 4 attack Ori, if we like the idea of maybe 4 attack Ori with 4 attack bird. Do we just want a bigger bird? Well, unfortunately, it appears we have lost my friend Yuck. I know Yuck just said. Oh, wait. Okay, Yuck had a quick power outage. He'll be back in just a moment. All right, so we got Tikuwabu versus Yoshitsune. Unfortunately, our parrot gets hit to start the combat, so no extra stats on the bench there. Can Elaine tie this up? No. Too many stats on the. So there's your benefit for being Phantom. That being Phantom of the Opera, you start with lower HP. You have to survive quite a few turns, but when you finally do get to get your hero pairing, you get a little bit of a power spike. However, I think if we're Yoshi, we're probably looking for a little bit more of a power spike than just Bruni and Tinkerbell. I kind of wonder what hero pairings we were offered. Bruni at least gave enough power with enough evil characters on the board for Yoshi to take that fight against Tikuwabu's board, which, while not looking incredibly mighty, does have enough range, does have enough generic stats on level 3 here to make it feel like it can win fights and have a shot. So we're looking at a batch of treasures, Seer Sphere, Immutable Idol, Ares Helmet. It looked to me for a moment like Tikuwabu was instantly clicking Immutable Idol. Unfortunately, Immutable Idol and Bearskin don't play nice together. Immutable Idol will set the first character to 7/7, but you can't leave it there, right? So it'll get set to a certain stat point, but if it catches a Bearskin stat and then you accidentally happen to leave it in slot 1, it's going to get reset back to 7/7, and it can really mess up your mid to late game scaling. So glad we skipped the idol. Very awkward on Bearskin. Awkward in general, but sometimes very good. But in this case, just very awkward. So we've got a little bit extra health on slot 1. That'll go well with our Pirate Gunner, which is certainly, well, yeah, we're deciding what that will go well on. But extra health on a range character with a bunch of attack. You love putting extra health on your character with the most attack. And if you don't, that's generally my go-to. If you've got something that is all but guaranteed to trade into anything it hits into, and then you give it an extra chunk of health, it might allow it to trade into 2 or 3, sometimes 4 things if they've got small things on the board. Oh, and it looks like Yuck is power's going a little bit in and out. We'll have to keep an eye on that situation. See if Yuck is going to get his power stable here again. Looks like, though, Tikuwabu firmly ahead of Zephyrus on Artemis. We're seeing another Artemis pick. And again, Artemis has a lot of good starting power, so I don't hate it. So what are we looking at? We just got to level 4. We're up against the Midas, guaranteed to have a few shiny things on the board. The Midas hasn't taken much damage. That board looks pretty convincing. Pretty big Javi, pretty big bird. So Tiku Wabu's got some considerations to make here. Now, we're moving the board around quite a bit. We haven't spent any gold yet, so it's going to be important to see what shows up in the shop. See a mouse over the Radiant Fairy. That caught my eye too, but it's not very big yet. Another Ori pair showing up. We wouldn't mind tripling the fluff. I wonder if we want that red fluff. The fluff, I should say, as I said earlier. Goes well with our green fluffs, our young fluffs, and our black sheep. So, yep, sure enough, we do want to play the fluff. Now, we still got a little bit of money left to spend, and looks like the Mycroft might be a pretty big threat on that board. Kind of interesting, without being in control of the scouting, it's hard for me to pick up immediately on what I would want to do to play around everything. I know that Javi looks very threatening at about a 2020 already on 4.0. Tiku Wabu opting to play experience. If you win the fight, you can keep it. So let's find out if Tiku Wabu can win the fight. We love the fluff in front of the two young fluffs. The fluff recently was changed such that it activates the dying breath of fluffs behind it when it activates its own dying breath. So now we're kind of triple dipping into the fluff stats. We get fluff stats, which activates extra young fluff triggers, which, you know, it's going to be more passive stat buff just for running fluffs on the board. Curious to see if we're strong enough to get the extra XP. This board on Pastelero's side doesn't look much different than the Scout, except I think the Mycroft actually got more HP, and that Mycroft is just too threatening. We do not get to keep that experience. So, dropping a fight to Midas. Midas is very strong early on, though. No big shock there. And another fluff. Wait a minute. Well, okay, so notably, you'll notice Tiku Wabu grabbed a pirate monkey out of that shop. That is a 5-cost character, something you can only see if you are level 5. While we didn't win the fight, and we didn't get to keep the XP permanently, we do still get the benefit of having cast the experience as though we started the turn on level 5. So even though the experience tracker said 4.2, we're actually on level 5. And we get one level 5 shop, even though we're not actually level 5, and then, you know, now we're rolling. The first time we roll, it's just a level 4 shop to follow it up, which, thank goodness, I guess, because we really want the fluff. The fluff here is going to really bolster the board. You notice the stats already went up a chunk from last fight just from the fluff and the young fluffs popping. So Tiku Wabu's going to not lose a lot of HP at this moment in time, if I had to guess, is going to be fairly strong through level 5. It's really going to be finding now the next couple of things that could give us another power spike. I'm not even convinced that we play fluffs for the remainder of this game. The strategy might swap somewhere here, but Tiku Wabu doing a lot of repositioning, a lot of refinagling, a lot of just figuring out where everything ought to be on the board. Now we got those two big parrots on the bench. We got that big Elaine. We're going to level 5. So we're probably just going to end up taking things that we got stat buffs on early in the game and selling them out so that we can buy purple fluffs, or, you know, Tiku Wabu might have another idea. I'm kind of curious to see where we go next from here. But we got the Oinksburg Mare fight coming up here, fighting the new hero in the lobby, and I'm watching a little bit of comms back and forth. Looks like Yuck's power is in and out, unfortunately. So, might be a moment until that stabilizes. We may hear another familiar voice, too. I'm not sure about that, but keep you posted as we go. Fire Oak on Oinksburg Mare. Got a pretty good tempo board here. Does not look like it's bigger than Tiku Wabu's board. However, it has more range than Tiku Wabu's board, so the extra stats don't fight quite as well as Fire Oak's range stats, resulting in a tie, despite the fact that we actually have the bigger of the two boards in that fight. Biomancer also on Fluff, Young Fluff. Well, and there's a purple fluff. Tiku Wabu goes to 5, immediately finds purple fluff. Tiku Wabu hovering over the duelist. Apparently that's kind of interesting. It doesn't totally fit the situation here, but yeah, taking a look at it. Second pirate monkey. We scooped the first one out of the shop when we were on our counterfeit level 5, whatever you want to call it, but mouse goes straight to roll, so it looks like maybe not looking to pair the monkey. I got a Narcissus. That can often be a very interesting call when you've got a board that might not mind finding Divine Messenger. So it looks like we're going to take the health spell, grab 1 extra HP. I like doing that. I like grabbing extra health as you level, as you play, as you go, because just adds up over time, and eventually it adds up to a point where it's relevant that you took it. Every now and then you'll find yourself getting hit and being left on 1 or 2 HP, and you're pretty happy you picked up those little 1-cost health spells. I don't do it every single time early in a roll down when I got a lot of gold to spend and I'm looking for key units on the board, but when you got one last gold to spend, absolutely fling it. I was kind of curious though if Tikuwabu was going to be locking up the Narcissus, and it looks like no, not looking for that. I probably would have been on the fence if I were making that decision myself, because I kind of want to find more fluffs. And it makes it hard to find things that say fluff if you're spending half your gold on an arc and a roll to start your next turn. So we're up against the Daedalus turn 10. We got a couple of people looking like they're in single-digit health land here. Not comfortable. I also wonder if I take a look back. I want to revisit the first game finishes. So round 1, we had Tikuwabu finishing first. Okay, so we had we had 10 points for Tikuwabu, we had 8 points for Kaisop, we had 7 points for Stewie. These are the 3 people that may be able to get to 16 points this game. Tikuwabu, because of the first, only needs a third this game, so perhaps your goal, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, if you're in Tikuwabu's shoes, you know Fluffs might not win the whole lobby. They might have a shot, and we just have a very close fight that's tied by the hero power, but Fluffs might have a shot to take a whole lobby, but they might not. But what they will very, very, very easily and frequently do is provide a lot of consistent stats through this stage of the game where people start getting KO'd. And GG's to Artemis. We're noticing a first KO of the lobby here on, was it a turn 10 fight. These lobbies move fast, so getting these stats up, having your board bolstered by just a whole bunch of big fluff numbers can give you the legs you need to maybe find your way into that top 3 situation. Even if you were to take a loss at this stage of the game with a board looking like this, I wouldn't expect that you would take a big hit. There are ways to get extra lives, ways to get extra regen. So I'm looking at this board thinking it would be great. I would love to see Fluffs win the lobby, right? Having a Fluff win, it's always fun seeing Fluffs perform well. But even if they don't, even if you don't get to that proverbial promised land where you get the Fluff slays going, you get the, everything goes right. Even if Tikuwabu switches gears and wants to pivot into something else, if the Fluffs provide enough of a foundation for Tikuwabu to make a run later into the lobby, Tikuwabu is going to be very well positioned to be in the right spot. So I don't know in a tournament setting if I would have been excited to pick up the first green fluff, knowing that it meant that I needed to continue to pick up more fluffs. But seeing how the game has been fairly generous with all of the colors of the fluff rainbow, I think Tikuwabu's got to be feeling pretty good about it right now. Notably, we would like another treasure. Looking at that Hercules board, it got both of the hero power double ups, but I'm not sure that the power level is that much different than what we've got here. I'd kind of like to analyze that board one more time on a scout, but we'll see it lined up side by side here shortly. Looks like it's about time for the next combat. Now, also interestingly, the purple fluff value seems to have superseded the red fluff value of getting buffs on the back line. I haven't played a lot of fluff since red fluff got updated. I don't really know the math as to what the best way to position an order and do all this is, but what I do know is I like my unyielding in 5 and 6 with a lot of stats, and those 2 purple fluffs are in 5 and 6 with unyielding and a lot of stats. So the Genie Sandstorm was to break the back protector shield. Smart play. Kaisop's got a very strong board. We've got one huge unyielder in that Tempe in the back corner, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough to get the job done. Not quite. Taking that purple fluff down to 4 health with the hero attack is not quite enough to take it out. GG's. And here we are up against Yoshitsune and Yoshitsune on 1 HP. The Phantom Hero swap here, unfortunately, doesn't appear to have been very generous. Now, I'm curious if we're 1 HP with a Chrono Crystal or if that Chrono Crystal was gone last turn. Wabu, meantime, not really finding anything terribly interesting in the first couple of shops. We're picking up a 1-cost item because we can. There's a Narcissus purchase because nothing else is really panning out. No real need to take experience when you're on 5.2 in your last couple of gold. Black Sheep, not terribly important.
Hey,
Good
horse.
parrot, but... Oh, hello, friend.
So I wanted to sneak in and join you for a minute here so you're not just left to the wolves by yourself for the rest of the stream.
I mean, you heard me. I will just continue talking about this game.
Oh yeah, no, you're doing a fantastic job. Shout out to you, because
I will take the company. I will take your company any day, Livy.
Absolutely.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty all right. Hi everybody, how's it going? So apologies.
I guess I can now call you Livy instead of production.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the official title though, if I'm being honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Production
Mrs.
is joining us
Production.
here, Livy.
Yeah.
Do you have any news? Do you have any news from the production team to share?
I don't have any news at the moment. I'm honestly just getting caught up, scrambling a little bit. I haven't been as deep into the nuances of each game and each player, so if you can carry me there a little bit, just because I've been focusing so hard on the background stuff. But yeah, we had some technical difficulties. Yuck is getting hit by a storm. So thoughts, prayers, human sacrifices, whatever we want to manifest to get him through that.
I don't know about the latter, but
yeah, yeah, we don't judge here. We don't judge.
Oddly, I read about the storm in that area this morning and went, well, I hope that's not going to be a problem. And
yeah. Well, things happen.
Well,
and...
to catch you up to speed, Livy, we're playing fluffs. I don't know if you noticed, but we've got a board that's just full of fluffs. It's a very fluffy boord, and yeah, now you're up to speed.
And I am here for it. I am so excited to see fluffs because, as we've said every tournament before, fluffs have the ability to get us there, but we've never seen it.
They do. Well, the problem in my mind is that you need so many pieces, and they have to come in a timely fashion. They don't always do that. There are a lot of characters in this game. Now, I thought Yoshitsune was going to be looking in rough shape this combat. That is an upgraded Cat Queen on the back already. It is turned 12. That's the kind of piece you need if you need to save your life.
That's a little scary. That's spooky. And apologies,
so
everybody. I am not going to have a camera. I was not expecting to jump in here, so excuse the lack of my face.
Again, I just appreciate you being able to pop in.
Absolutely. No, I am here for it, but yeah, that upgraded Cat Queen, absolutely a little bit spooky.
So, okay,
Ooh,
we've got a purple fluff.
triple purple
I think
fluff.
We gotta take it and speculate on a treasure. There's a golden fluff, but unfortunately, golden fluff doesn't help us scale Divine Messenger, but also Crescent Blade. But we don't have a blue fluff yet, so you take Divine Messenger. You might as well get purple fluff value across the whole front row.
So I think either last night, the night before, very recently, got to play around with Golden Fluff a little bit. And for me, I found that its biggest use was actually getting me those blue fluffs. So once you're on 6, I actually was able to get a couple of blue fluffs out of it. So that's something to consider. Obviously, that's a big if. It's not guaranteed to give you any one particular thing or any one particular level, but if you're desperate, it's an option, and at least it scales even if it's not aiding to the scaling.
I saw a really cool game yesterday because I did my little unofficial day 1 broadcast and spectated, various games throughout the day. Somebody ran a really big, and it struck me almost as it might have been a chameleon slay on 4 into a golden fluff sort of situation. I don't know what, I didn't see the run up because I'd been watching someone else play. But I saw someone running a really big golden fluff in the game, and they ran it all the way into level 6. They had this just really cool tempo board, and then eventually core fused it onto something else when it was no longer what you wanted on your board, for your strongest fighting board later in the game. And I saw it just work out really well. They made a lot of money from it.
Yeah.
And then because they had buffed it, it had good stats for a core fusion, so they used those stats later. I don't think they were playing another fluff on the board. I think they were just having one big golden fluff.
Yeah. No, core fusion is a fantastic option. Or I guess I should say golden fluff is a fantastic option for core fusion. Yeah, I hadn't really considered that, but again, I've only played one game with it so far, but I'm enjoying it so far.
So we've got Biomancer over here, also with a couple of fluffs, but the Arthur actually makes that board look a little bit bigger than Tikuwabu's board. And with Fight
Ooh.
RNG, there was a shot for us to tie that or maybe even win it, but we hit the wrong target.
Yeah,
And
just
we're down
missed
to
it.
5 health now. 5 health on this board. This board is pretty strong, but the black sheep, Livy, fluff, young
I know.
fluff. They're not good individual fighter units, so you can build up a whole bunch of stats far beyond what you're like. We look at this this Midas matchup here, and our stats are much better, but Midas has extra unyielding, has extra range,
Right.
and it's such a detriment to fighting when all of your things have to go touch.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that's probably the perfect pickup here. We'd love to see another purple fluff, but are we ahead enough in stats for this to be a strong enough fighting board? I'm still not sure. It wasn't the previous combat.
And apologies for any lulls on my end here. I am trying to do some multitasking with the back end stuff too, so if I go silent, my power did not go out. Shout out to Yuck.
Even outside of that broadcast, outside of the tournament today, I just hope Yuck gets his power back. It sucks being without power.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, and seriously, shout out to Yuck if we don't get to hear from him before the end of this tournament. What we did hear from him today, fantastic. As always, we love having Yuck. Absolutely has always been a strong face in these types of games, and we're happy to have him casting for FTF, so shout out, and again, thoughts and prayers. Hopefully you get your power back soon, bud.
Tikuwabu did a lot of math this turn. There was a lot of scouting that Midas board, and now GG's to Midas. I notice we're in the top 5 now. Tikuwabu just needs to outlive 2 players to be live from this spot. Tikuwabu really just needs a couple more turns, and what better time to get a ghost fight than when you need a couple more turns. Now, I saw the math going on. Tikuwabu could have a stronger board right now by putting that Blackbeard in 4 and benching the green fluff that's in 4.
Yep.
But opting to keep all the fluffs on the board for maximum scaling against the ghost fight, thinking, I can win this fight, I can scale my fluffs even more, and now I've got a Blackbeard. I love this Blackbeard pickup.
Mm-hmm.
That was Pastolero on our Midas. Look at that, a very strong board. It's just without treasures, it's hard. We did get a golden harp over there for Pastolero, but right now the fluffs have reached that beautiful point in this fight where they're able to trade 2 for 1.
Yes.
And that's what you need to see when you're playing a fluff board.
Excellent match for Tiku there. Everything that they wanted to die, died, and they still won the fight. And that's exactly what you want out of a fluff matchup. Ooh.
Livy.
Yes, horse.
Do you see what I see? Your
beautiful face.
Tikuwabu is live.
Ooh, I did not see that.
No matter what happens from here, Tikuwabu is getting 7 points to add to Tikuwabu's already 10 points. Tikuwabu will be live next round.
Excellent. Yep, I didn't even realize that.
Dividends.
Yeah, and
now what I'm curious about, I need to pay attention. We need to look at. I know it's I believe it's Yoshi on the Phantom pairing that I thought was going to be in a lot of trouble 5 rounds ago on 1 HP, but that apparently an upgraded Cat Queen's pretty good. I don't know who's playing our Demeter. I wonder if they can go live. It looks like Stewie was on the data list out in 4th.
Demeter is Biomancer.
Oh, wait, we're looking at Demeter Biomancer. Biomancer cannot go live. Nope. So only Tikuwabu will be live next round. Yoshitsune and Biomancer cannot go live after this finish. However, they will set themselves up to be able to hopefully go live the next game.
Mm-hmm.
But only Tikuwabu will be live for game 3. There's a chance that this thing is over in 3, Livy.
It's almost like you and Yuck manifested this way at the beginning of the stream when you were talking about the possibility of a single person being live and the rest of the lobby not. Tico may be the one.
Well,
they will be the one as far as being live, but...
Well, Yuck mentioned also Tikuwabu's repeat performance, getting to, the monthly finals,
Yes,
the top 8 last
that's
month, getting to
extremely
the top
true.
8 this month. Tikuwabu's showing us why Tikuwabu ends up here.
Yep, absolutely an extremely talented player, no doubt about that. To make
This
day
can be
2
no accident.
No, absolutely not. To make day 2 once is a feat in and of itself. To be a repeat player in day 2, you know that this person has talent.
Absolutely. And we're not going to have a problem with this ghost board. You can tell just by looking at it. There's a big acolyte over there, and that's going to take a couple of things out, but the purple fluffs will clean everything up handily. No concerns at all. We were hoping maybe to have more fluffs pop, but it's about time to get that Blackbeard in there. Oh, and GG's to Yoshi. We are down to the top 2. It's Tikuwabu and Biomancer.
Yep. I am so stoked to be seeing Fluffs in top 2.
This is cool. This is really cool. And it looks like Biomancer's on a stars and boost combo. So we're seeing, we hadn't seen a fluff game yet today. This is the first one, and it looks really convincing. And the nice thing, I don't know if Tikuwabu has realized in this moment in time that it's not necessary to win this lobby, that the goal has been achieved from here, but you know how these people are. You know how us filthy competitive ladder gamers are. We're playing for the win every single time.
Sweaty degenerates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on. You're not gonna just roll over it. However, Biomancer could really actually would enjoy getting the extra points for the first year. While it doesn't matter to Tikuwabu, Biomancer has all of the added motivation to win this thing. So
they sure do.
That board is such that it could get even stronger than what we're seeing in the Scout in one turn fairly easily. There are some ways.
A very shiny Blackbeard.
The problem is if you sell to get to it, you have to sell the Blackbeards because then you lose all your stats on the bench.
Yeah,
so
that's extremely
I don't think
true.
You can take it right here.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an awkward position. Just because you do still have 3 gold. Oh wow, we roll right by it. Okay. I was gonna say, I wonder if
making the same.
They'll just go for buying the unit, pocketing that 1 gold. But being top 2, do we have the time and the room to do that?
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing. Spend 3 gold, put it on the bench, and then buy that Blackbeard triple next turn. It looks like Tikuwabu really values having 2 large Blackbeards on the board. Couldn't buy it this turn, decided not to buy it at all.
Yeah, honestly, I can't blame that decision whatsoever. Like I said, top 2 and you're at 6 health.
You saw the Guinevere go away.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, we're moving our unyielders around. Because of the way the stars play out, they might not get to hit if they sit in the back. This is not going to be a freebie. That Star Child is huge, and it's going to be a full board of huge stars. Those stars will take out anything Tikuwabu's got if they get to shoot. And
stars do tend to be fluff eaters, in my experience. So, we'll see if that's the case
stars
here.
Are shooting 100% of the time.
Yikes.
This fight is over.
All right.
This game is over. GG, well played. Biomancer taking it home. Well played, Tikuwabu. Well played, everyone. Tikuwabu is live, Livy.
They sure are. And, they're the only one live, but shout out to Bio. I mean, that was a good play.
Yeah, Biomancer building a very, very convincing board. We didn't get to see what went into making that 200-ish Star Child, but I gotta imagine there was some core fusion play involved at some point.
Yep.
But either way, shout out to everybody who just competed in Game 2, shout out to Tikuwabu. We'll have to be keeping a close eye on Tikuwabu. Normally, we would spectate the winner of the previous lobby, but in this case, I think we're gonna have to jump back to Tikuwabu as the only live player. We're gonna be locked into Tikuwabu a little bit here.
Yes, we are.
I think for right now, Livy, maybe we should talk about that Kickstarter again. We're gonna do that every single time we get a chance. ! Kickstarter.
Yes.
In the chat, if you want a link to that to look at that.
We are already well on our way to meeting that goal, and that is so exciting. We're already, just a few $100s short of 2,000, which is so incredible. Thank you so much to everybody that has backed the Kickstarter so far. It is a huge help. We are so excited to utilize the funds from this for 100% real human-made art in the game. And with the Kickstarter, you get so many different choices as far as which package you select. You can just support, you can get borders, you can get in-game crystals. You can go so far as to get a picture of your own pet in the game, and not just as alternative art. There are a few options in there where you can have your pet be the art for certain cards.
Oh, that is so cool.
So those are
I'm glad you remembered. I forgot to share that.
Oh yeah,
you can get your pet in this game.
And let's.
Nero is based on a real dog named Nero.
Yeah, oh yeah. And, shout out to my boy Snowball, because he may or may not be showing up in the game soon, because I took advantage of that. So, yeah, but
That's
those are
beautiful.
one-offs. Only one
Holy
person
Christ.
can buy those particular support packages. So get on it quick if you want your pets in the game, because there's only a select number of those available. But yeah, so Kickstarter is off to a great start. Again, shout out to the crystal code, !crystals. If you want to get your 4,000 free crystals for the month, do that, because once this stream is over, and again, there's a chance it may be over next game.
Yeah.
So get on that quick if you haven't already redeemed your crystals, because who knows how long this is gonna last.
Yeah, I wanna say we didn't talk about it. Yuck and I hadn't yet, but !Discord, because like Livy said, next game has the potential to be the last game today. We
Yep.
could be wrapping up. We could go 3 more games. We don't know. We no idea how it's going to play out from here. But if you want to keep updated on all the cool stuff we've been talking about today, and you want to be apprised of the progress, you want to be part of the community, you want to get involved in the conversations, the chit chats, you want to have a little bit of fun, you want to play some games with some people, whatever you want to do, !Discord is the place to be for all of those things fairy tale fables related.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely join the Discord. You'll be the first to know about any updates within the game. So definitely a good place to be. With that, and again, apologies for sitting here with Yukmouth's empty background. It's very sad, but I did not have time to set up my camera, so I am the blue square
if
today.
Gives you a hard time about that, they can fight me. Anyway, apologies.
All right, so you thinking we should take a quick break?
Yeah, let's knock out the break.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. We will be back in just a few, so hang tight, everybody.
Cool. I will be right back.
All right, everybody, we are back, and there's a giant picture of myself on the screen here. I'm gonna try and get a picture of myself.
I was still the only one on cam, but
no. Let's see if I can size this down a little bit. So what I decided to do is, in the absence of a cam, we're gonna have a picture of me with one of my chickens.
Okay.
Because...
Is it Pepe?
It's not Pepe. This one's name is Vera, and she is a sweetheart. But yeah.
Is she a fashion model?
Yeah, right? It's a very Vogue kind of name. So yeah, okay. There are no rules today. We're just kind of going with the flow. So me and my chicken is what y'all are going to get. But yeah, welcome back, everybody. We are about to go into Game 3. There is a chance that it ends with Game 3. Tiku Wabu is live. They are the only one that is live. And I am extremely excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, we're going to definitely be spectating and following along with Tiku Wabu again, being in the driver's seat at the moment. It's up to Tiku Wabu to win this lobby and have a chance to win the whole tournament. It's up to all 7 of the other players to make sure that does not happen. We want to make sure... If we want to win as anybody who is not Tiku Wabu, that we knock Tiku Wabu out. So it's going to be interesting to see if they play around that at all. If a few more combat spells go Tiku Wabu's way or not.
Yep, and as we've seen in prior tournaments, Tiku Wabu is the one with the proverbial target on their back. It is everybody versus Tiku Wabu right now. The lobby's goal is deny them first place, because that means more people are going to have a chance to win this. So I'm anticipating seeing a lot of combat spells, maybe a little bit of dirty play, but we'll see if Tiku Wabu can fight through it and still make it. Oh, and
notably...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, before we get started, I noticed we have Kaisop at 9 points on... Right on deck, right in the batter's circle,
yep.
Just about there. We've got Stewie at 12, Yoshitsune at 7, could go live with a first, Fire Oak at 8, could go live with a first or a second, and Biomancer at 11 could go live with a lower placement. So
yep.
We expect to see multiple players live if there is a 4th game.
Yes, absolutely. And since we are potentially at our final game, personally, as always, I hope it goes longer. I love watching these. I never want it to end at 3, even though it's a huge feat. I never want it to end at 3, but I do just want to shout out the prizes one more time, just so everybody knows what's at stake here with this 3rd game. So first place, whoever takes it, is going to get $125. Again, sponsored by Turnt Individual. All of these prizes are. Huge shout out. Thank you so much for sponsoring this 2 months in a row. Seriously, you're the GOAT. So thank you. But yeah, 120.
If you like this broadcast, you got to give love to Turnt.
100%.
In large part, this broadcast gets to happen because of Turnt.
Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah, thank you, Turnt. You are the best. So 125 to our first place winner. And of course, they're going to get that coveted crown border. We all want it. Second place is going to get $75, and third place is going to get $50. So no small change there to our top 3. And of course, there are some things like crystals and battle passes on the line as well to anybody that may finish in below that top 3.
We know they're all going for the first, though.
Oh yeah,
you want the bragging rights. You want the cash prize, of course, but you really want that crown.
It's
hero
the crown.
border, I think.
Yeah, no,
that's what I want.
Who needs money when you've got crowns? That's what I always say. All right, so if you're good, Horse, I think I'm gonna let them know to fire it up, and we will start watching Tiku.
Okay, Livy, let's do that. And I also need to tell you that occasionally, remember the last time when I cast with you, every now and then your voice would cut out for like 5 seconds on my line. It's doing it again.
Okay.
And when that happens, I don't know if you're still talking or not. I think most of the time you still are. But if you hear me go silent and there's a weird pregnant pause, it's because I'm either waiting to hear your voice again, or if you hear me jump in while you're in the middle of something, like, hey, it's because you've gone blank in my line and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and that, I believe, I should not be cutting out through OBS, so everybody else will be able to hear me, thankfully. I think it's just a stream together thing. So yeah, apologies to everybody watching. First of all, thank you for being here, but we're sort of at the mercy of the technology we're using. Obviously, Discord isn't always going to be perfect. Stream together and Twitch isn't always going to be as smooth as we want it to be. So we just appreciate everybody, bearing with us while we get through the weird hiccups. So thank you. But yeah, we ready to start?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
All right.
I'm into it.
We're
ready for game 3.
giving...
I'm sure everybody else who's, I'm sure our players are ready. I'm sure our viewers are ready. Let's go.
Just gave Bio the heads up. Bio is our lobby master today since they got the most points on day 1. That's sort of how we base who runs the lobbies on day 2. So they are firing it up.
And we're at 0. We're about to have a hero select. Let's take a look. Tikuwabu is staring at Bearskin again. Queen of Hearts again, correct?
Yep.
Sphinx and Artemis.
Yep.
So 2 repeats. Now we saw play Bearskin to success last lobby. Wasn't a win. It was Biomancer who ended up taking that lobby, but the Bearskin play certainly didn't hurt Tikuwabu any. But who do you pick if you want to win?
Honestly, for me, I'd be tempted to lean Bearskin again. A second choice would be Artemis for me. Queen of Hearts, so as you were mentioning earlier with Yuck, I have not had the time to put into Queen of Hearts to really feel comfortable, especially in a tournament setting. She's really interesting, though, but as Yuck was saying, a learning curve for sure. Oh, and
as I look at that hero select, I do think Queen of Hearts has a ton of upside potential, but
she
it
does.
Can be very awkward to play.
Yeah, you need to be really confident in your abilities.
Hero pick right there.
Yeah, but we did go with the Bearskin, which I can hardly blame Tiku for.
And it looks like Tikuwabu's being offered pretty much the same initial option of, do I take something I don't want to take, or do I take something with high attack, which means it's going to be hard to balance my attack forever and ever. But you kind of got to take the parrot because it's kind of the best thing to grab out of this shop. I mean, there are other ways to go about it, I suppose, but the parrot's going to fight best for the next couple turns.
Yep. And we've all seen how quickly the stats from a parrot can rack up. If you get a decent unit in your hand and you're pretty confident you're going to get those slays, parrot is seriously the way to go.
I got a lot of ties incoming here. You know, Livy, since you're here, I think I might go free agent and jump around and see who's on which heroes. However, it looks like Tikuwabu is kind of doing that for us, but here, let me, I'm going to bounce around real quick. I want to take a gander. I'm so curious.
Yeah.
So we got Biomancers on our Gene to Arc. Fire Oak would appear to be playing our, I'm not sure. Sorry. Looks like Yoshi is Mischievous Bruni. That can be a really strong early game hero, so sounds like a decent pick to me.
Yep.
Looks like Stewie is playing Pan. Stewie is our Pan.
I love Peter Pan. I shamelessly love Peter Pan.
Is our Savitri. So we got Postolero on Savitri. Kaisop is our... Oh, stream's loading. Midas. And Zephyrus is our...
Sundiata!
Okay, so the only one I'm not sure about is Fire... Sundiata! Yeah. You knew I wanted to.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
All right. Well, thank you for that divergence. Looks like we got to fight Biomancer's Elaine board, and I didn't notice. I was too busy jumping around, but yeah, we grabbed ourselves a talking frog and turned it into a freed prince, and
we sure did.
We got 4 gold to spend on an awkward shop.
It's
not terrible, this shop, but it's not immediately obvious either to me.
Yeah, I think if I were to choose anything, if I were to stay with this shop, I'd probably take the Spud, and I don't even know what else I would take after that. I'd maybe be tempted to take something to build with the parrot, but what would you... This is awkward.
Yeah. I mean, if we were not Bearskin, I'm probably taking a lane. I'm probably taking Hot Potato, and I'm probably saving that Hot Potato, hoping to trade it out for something better next turn. If we take a lane and Hot Potato, then do you bench Hot Potato and stat buff it? Do you put it on the board and stat buff it? Okay, so we're taking something that we don't mind putting stats on in the Sprout. That can go in the hand.
Mhm.
And we're taking something we don't mind catching the attack stat in the Elaine. That can go on the board. And okay,
Yeah.
it's not perfect, but here it is.
Yeah, nope, they made that shop work for them, and we do take
0 attack.
an L there, though.
Last game, Tikuwabu got a 1-cost attack spell on turn 1 and locked it for turn 2, the 3 gold turn,
Yep.
right? That one play last game would have allowed Tikuwabu to tie that fight this game, and save a little bit of health. So
Yep.
you can see why it was prioritized last game.
Any hero
But-
that starts with 0 attack, if you can do that, it makes a world of difference.
You can just save yourself sometimes a good 5 health
Yeah,
on level 2.
just tying
which
those early
helps.
games, it can ultimately be the difference of what your late game looks like. If you get into those later turns and you're hurting from the health you lost in those early turns, it does make a huge difference. So
Oh, and it turns out Fire Oak is our Oinksburg mare.
Oh, yes.
Again, Fire Oak on Oinksburg. Again, the only new hero in the lobby. Oinksburg mare, though, not terribly confusing to play. It's a little hard to know which turns you shouldn't spend your last gold and you should get a slight stat buff. It's a little tricky, and I feel like it's another hero that feels to me like it would be good to have a few reps before
sure.
playing it in a tournament setting. So I'm hoping Fire Oak got a chance to kind of play around with it a little bit this last week and get a sense of what he likes to do with it.
Yeah.
But here we are, Tikuwabu having a better bearskin board for this turn, in that there are 3 things up 4 attacks. We're getting a triple bearskin buff this turn.
All right, and we take the tie, which you never complain about early game.
Now there's a pair, but that doesn't really fit this board. But you got a lot of 5 attackers. It fits on the bearskin angle. The Cursed Rose is a new character in the game. It's got a Dying Breath effect that when it dies, it casts a Blizzard. So it does a 1 damage AoE to the entire board. You could go for a 5 attacker turn this turn. Now, it looks like Tikuwabu's debating other things. There's a shot, I guess you could buy Impatient Farmer and Romeo, and you could have a 6 attack board, and you could get a lot of buffs up, but then the Farmer's going to deflate the following turn and mess up the whole entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
Really curious how Tikuwabu navigates the shop.
Yeah, that pair is honestly, even though it is a bit awkward, it's too tempting in my opinion to not take.
I was kind of hoping you might agree with me, because I am an unabashed Acolyte spammer, and if we have a pair of Cursed Roses and we end up tripling that, if we see an Acolyte in the next shop, sure, we're bearskin, it's probably going to steal the only instance of the buff, but shortly enough, it'll have more attack than anything else on our board.
Yeah.
But looks like Tikuwabu's more interested in maybe going for 6 attack, but it's not going to work out exactly perfect, the math that is.
Huh. Yeah, honestly, this was a little unexpected. I mean, I see the play here. I see. Interesting,
Ooh,
and
a
we
lot
do
of
sit on.
decision-making.
Yeah, that was and we sat on 2 gold there too.
Yeah, we didn't end up getting the board buffed quite the way we had hoped, and it looks like it was just a little bit too many bearskin math equations
Yeah.
going on there to quite get it perfect. But perfect's not necessary when you're strong enough to tie anyway, and we've got a good enough setup. We're probably going to finish this Snow White quest at some point and get effectively a free level 3 treasure. Oh,
Honestly, that's a
Yuck
good
would have
point.
loved to see a
Oh.
chameleon. I hope he saw.
Oh,
That was a quick chameleon.
yeah. They didn't even think twice about that. It was Chameleon Snatch.
Well, we're not worrying about attack matching so much when we dropped a chameleon on the board. We're going to get a buff on a low attack character. However, 3 attack sword actually allows us to get a double buff if we want to.
This is true. And I was wondering
Also,
if they were going to bench the Chameleon here. I'm still not convinced
Yep.
they're going to, but it would make sense.
it's tough. You really want to play a full board, right? Because you
Yeah.
just really want to play a full board in general, but you also kind of want to wait for that chameleon to have a shot to become a level 5 character
Right.
instead of a level 4. It looks like it might stay on the bench
Okay,
here,
we
Libby.
just take the stats that are in the shop, and it looks like that's going to be our full board.
I mean, getting the bearskin buff on the Elaine has to feel good, right? The Elaine in 5,
Absolutely.
it's a range character. It's just going to get stronger. It's going to help you win some fights, tie some others, but that's good news, bears.
Yep.
So, yeah, we'll get to see the chameleon come out next turn, probably.
I am a little surprised that they didn't go for the item. It was a tough call there.
Yeah, ultimately, I kind of like this. I saw give 3 attack to the chameleon and put it on the board, but then it has a chance to slay.
Right.
But, then it catches one of the buffs. I like this. We got a triple buff on the back line, especially getting a buff on the Elaine. I like getting the buff up on the Elaine the last turn.
Yep.
So we go to 4. We're playing bearskin games. I don't know how those relate to reindeer games, but
Less shiny noses, I think.
oh, that could be it. I am curious if it's not going to be a 4 attack chameleon when it finally gets to attack. I'm curious if it can slay after the bearskin buff or not. And it looks like
we picked
moving
up that
things around,
dwarf
double-checking
awfully
what-
fast.
Well, I mean,
It
when
makes
you got
sense.
the items, hobby is just basically a 20/20
Yeah,
if you got the items.
that
But,
was
like those
a-
2 items, there's not even a booster behind it, and it's still a 17/18.
Yep. Yeah, between that Javi with the stats and the ranged being a 7/3, I mean, we're doing all right here.
Oh, Tikuwabu has a
We're struggling a little bit with
capacity
where to
a
put
lot
the
of 7
chameleon, though.
attackers. Well, you're looking at the board as it's flipping around, right? I think we're doing bearskin considerations. We
Yep.
have a lot of things that 7 attack. We could get, I think it's 4 or 5 buffs potentially if you play the freed prince as well.
Mm-hmm.
You get 5 different bearskin buffs this turn, or you can play the chameleon, get 1 buff, and go for a power spike if it happens to become something really good. It's not straightforward again.
No, and I like to picture Tiku like that gif. They're just sitting there with all the geometry symbols swirling around their head as they decide, which which bearskin buff's gonna go where. So.
Does Tikuwabu look like Zach Galifianakis? Oh, 1 out of 3 for the chameleon to slay. It hits the right target.
Wow.
We lose the fight, but we get a 5.
But we do, yeah. Oh, and it's
succubus.
not a bad 5 either.
That could be handy. Oh, we might want to put that succubus in slot 1 and see if we can make those 2 green fluffs go bonk.
Wow,
Oh,
succubus
we're
was
getting a
an
dagger in play
awesome
now.
hit here.
Well, we went through an entire sequence of daggers into food, right? An entire patch cycle of basically getting a dagger and getting a monkey. It's not as easy anymore because a lot of the food just stacking food has become more difficult. It's been slowed down because it was just too good.
Yep.
But I wonder if Tikuwabu can get some late game value out of that vampire dagger.
I'm willing to bet they will find a way.
So now we're scouting, we're rearranging, we're looking at numbers, we're doing the math. We look at this board, we got a bunch of 8 attackers. That tree, annoyingly, we would love it to have 1 less attack. We'd love to get another buff on the Smiling Sprout.
Yep.
Looks like 8 might be our magic bearskin number.
And again, I'm just doing some
Oh, Olivia,
background
I gotta
stuff
say,
here.
having coffee.
Oh, yeah. The elixir of
Having
life.
coffee's a good call. Let me tell you. Oh yeah, gotta have some coffee. Debating where this vamp dagger goes. We're not gonna get an extra bearskin buff this turn, but we're getting bearskin buffs on a backline destruction unit and 2 ranged characters. So
Yeah, you can't complain
we're
too
not gonna
much.
feel sad about. Yeah. Turn 8 and some of the health pools are dwindling a little bit. I'm not shocked by Pan starting off taking a few hits. I feel like this is about where Pan kind of stops taking some damage for a little while.
Yep.
So
Yeah, they may level out a little bit
he does
here.
start. Takes a minute to collect your kit. All right, and those green fluffs got bigger, like they do. Where Parrot is unable to take anything out. Unfortunately, the Succubus is attacking so high that it's just taking things out instead of making them bump into each other. But
Yeah.
we win by 2 characters on 1 health against Kaisop.
Yeah, and that is a blessing and a curse. You know, obviously you want to win these matches, but there are absolutely strategies that come into play with things slaying, etc. You don't necessarily want it to just be a wash.
Oh no, Livy, I don't know if you're talking or not, but I definitely lost you in the line here.
No, you are all set. No worries.
Oh, I got you back. I got you back. Okay. Well, we grabbed the Crown of Crystal. I didn't want to. You were saying something, and then I went mute. And I don't. Yeah, I don't want to talk when you're talking, of course. So, yeah, quick grab on the Crown of Crystal. No big surprise there. We are looking to win the lobby, and it might be a little bit funny that we grab Crown of Crystal, which requires us to die to get value from it. But turns out you can take a hit that knocks you out of the lobby and then survive on that hit because you have the Crown of Crystal, and then still just win the game from there.
And apologies if anybody's hearing my keyboard pick up my typing right now. Again, this was pretty spur of the moment, so I don't have a proper setup.
Nah, you're good. I can hear it, but it's not that loud. It's not that loud in the line. Turn 9. Lobby's still relatively healthy. Midas can be such a difficult hero. It can be so feast or famine. If you get the right kind of characters that combine together to be very strong without needing treasures through the early game, you're just cruising. Everything's great. You're dealing damage to people when you're winning fights. You feel good. If it's not going perfectly, though, it can be a little hard to bounce back. I mean, I know that that's just the case with everybody in this game. If you don't get offered a batch of serviceable shops, it's going to be a hard game.
That is the curse of RNG. Also the beauty of RNG if you flip it, but...
I mean, it's the reason we all play.
Oh, yeah. Get one of those little mini
Zephyrus
dopamine hits every time you roll a shop.
You ever build a Kappa, Libby?
Once or twice.
They can be pretty big.
They can be big.
Oh, that was a snap grab on a Tempe. We finished our white quest for the Crown of Crystal last turn. White is gaining some stats, but it's not something that's going to hopefully want to be on our board too much longer. That Gene board across the way is looking like it's coming along a-okay.
Mm-hmm.
Another Tempe. I mean, look.
Are we dwarves?
We might not be playing full on Admiri. It might not be a giant board of dwarves, but it's going to have a big Tempe on it.
It
no matter
sure
what happens.
is. Yeah, I would have picked that up too. I don't know. This may be leaning more dwarf.
Like it might be. It looks like it's Consti. I wondered if Javi was hitting the bench. We're doing some reconfiguring here. We don't have enough items for the second Tempe, really, though. I guess we do, though. But we'll ruin our perfect little 14, 14, 14 bearskin buff. We got 4 14s this time if we want them. Any shot we can make that a 14?
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, no. It's going to be Javi is off the team. Oh, it was close.
Oh.
13. I don't think there's a perfect way. I think if you swap items and you give it one more attack, it gets extra stats from it, right? So we can't actually... Oh, this is so fun. I like that not only are we dealing with the inventory management mini game that playing dwarves demands you do, we're also playing with the bearskin attack balancing mini game.
Yeah, with bearskin, you really do need to be considering multiple levels of play with each turn.
I mean, we're at the stage of the game where you could start to fade the bearskin hero power a bit. And
yeah, that's
you
true.
probably will see Tiku Wabu do that ever so slightly.
Especially when playing something with dwarves where they sort of give themselves stats. You know, you're a little bit worried about, or a little less worried about what's coming from your hero power at that point.
The one thing that's working really well for Tiku Wabu, that upgraded Snow White in slot 7, if it happens to survive the fight, does a little bit of extra damage. And I think it's in that spot for that reason specifically. But look at the Tempe's already doing work. The unyielding is so good. They get so many stats, and then they're unyielding, and they stick around, and they trade again.
Yep, and
Beating
that
Biomancer,
succubus is
taking them
still
down to
doing
12.
work there.
Yeah, I mean, even if it doesn't get max value, making two giant things bump into each other, it's still
Always
a
a
pretty big
win.
range character.
Yep.
And if it can shoot 2, 3, 4 times, it's still pretty good.
Picking up the bag, it's an expensive item, but it's basically no cost stats considering it doesn't take up an item spot, so certainly good enough reason to pick it up there.
Yeah, that pouch is good news. Do we want another vamp dagger? We're at least debating it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep,
we do take it.
We want another vampire dagger. So this could be we have a lot of items stacked here. And you know Admiri loves having a lot of items stacked, right? And it looks like we're figuring out if we can get this one up to 18 attacks specifically. Moving items around. I got it to 20. What about a take the 4/4 dagger off, put a 3/3. We'll see if that gets there. But what I'm loving about this, when you rely on Tempe, you line yourself up very well for a multiplay. Now, we haven't seen a smithy pop up, so we're not actually making the items themselves larger at the moment, but we're lining up well to being a good spot to get a multi and maybe build something with big Tempe and some scam pieces beside
Yep.
it so that we have a little bit more to work with.
Mhm.
I don't know.
I do just want to say good night, sweet prince, to Peter Pan, aka Stewie.
Oh, no,
I was
GG.
rooting for it so hard.
Pan is pretty good. Pan requires a few things to work out.
Yep.
And if they don't, sometimes it feels like you don't get to play. And I know that's true on any hero. If the shops aren't generous, sometimes it feels like you don't get to play. But
There are definitely
is a bummer.
heroes
I
that
don't like-
rely a little bit more on it than others, though, and I would say Pan, for sure, is one of those heroes. Pan can absolutely get the job done, but you really need the pieces to make that work.
right now, I can't help but notice that our Oinksburg Mayor opponent is the top health in the lobby. Not that we're far behind.
Yeah. 27 HP. That is not a bad spot to be in double-digit turns.
We've got double Haymaker over there already. And a big-ish monkey. It's upgraded, which makes it pretty spicy. Now, no treasures. I saw multiple upgrades on Fire Oak's board, but not a single treasure. And we
Managed to tie that,
narrowly
which is
tie it with hero
pretty
attack.
huge.
But that's a sign that we are not ahead. We're not currently ahead. We still have work to do if we want to win this, because Tiku Wabu, there is no placement that matters in this game for Tiku Wabu other than first. Everything else is the same difference. So Tiku Wabu's got to play lines that have a shot to win the whole thing.
Yep.
And Tiku Wabu knows. This is no secret. This is no shock. I'm looking at this Core Fusion. I'm looking at the Snow White. I'm thinking it has some stats to share. I'm wondering how important that is. You got the Sprout. You're usually thinking about Core Fusioning that onto something later, but not so sure that we're going to be looking at that spell this turn. I think we're doing a lot of item minigame micromanagement over here.
And I am wondering, are we going to go for the 2-drop pair? And the only reason I'm asking if we're considering that is because we really don't have any treasures, and we have an option at jumping beans, right?
Nope, we are not.
I was going to
Stop
say, it's a
wondering, Libby.
consideration.
The decision has been made.
It's certainly a consideration at this stage in the game when you don't have treasures and you have a 5-drop pair to try and go for something like jumping beans. But looks like Tiku had other ideas.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of those, like jumping beans, that's actually a 3-drop treasure. It's a level 3 baby mimic. So a lot of the ones that you might use to enhance a follow-up treasure tend to be level 3s. I think we got to be looking for. Well, we found the smithy. We got to be looking for a smithy. There's another pouch in the shop. I'm gonna guess we're gonna want that then too. Doing our best to load items on smithy so that we can get a bunch of buffs on our items, because smithy is out there scaling our items up for us, which is great. Gotta have eyes on that pouch. Yep. We're playing it like we might want an Admiri later, and if one were to show up, I think we're going to end up buying it.
Yeah, and that would be an excellent pickup for sure. This parrot is still just flying high, huh?
Yeah, we've been spending so much money on items, and Bearskin has been turning all of our other units into better units. We haven't really had to think about it much. Again, some additional dwarf energy. We're seeing a little bit of dwarf play in this lobby, but it looks like Tikuwabu's dwarves are a little bit bigger than Pastolero's right now.
Yep, very much so.
And we're level 6, so Tempe time?
And of course, Pastolero playing
Item time.
Savitri has built-in Chrono Crystal, so they have a little bit of wiggle room. They have some time to figure things out. They don't need to stress
that
as
like
hard about that
fancy
loss.
little dwarf we just picked up right there and stuck in position number 1. Do we have the entrance preview on? We sure do. Yeah, our dwarves with items are going to be getting a little bit bigger now.
They sure are.
Interestingly enough, I haven't downloaded all the new art yet, so I'm not familiar with all of the new dwarf art that I haven't seen a ton of.
Yeah, same here actually, and so I'm actually running a little bit slowly trying to identify who is who, to be totally honest with you.
I can tell you who Smithy and Tempe are. I want to be transparent. I think that's a multi because I see the stats go up every time an item drops on it, and I don't see the stats increasing with the entrance preview when there are no items on it. And if that were an Admiri, it would buff all the dwarves regardless of if they were carrying items or not. So I believe that is our new multi art, and it looks really cool. I'm just not familiar with it yet.
Yep, that's a pretty good assumption.
Yeah, that is multi. Good. That's what we wanted to find. The nice thing about this is because we have a nice item stack, we got Smithy, we got Tempe, we can grow our items, we can make a really formidable Tempe. Multi makes Smithy and Tempe so much better just for existing. Now we actually can, where the Smiling Sprout is, where the Elaine is, where the Snow White is, we can start adding different kinds of pieces that will better counteract or deal with what else we're seeing in the lobby.
Yep.
We're seeing the scouting happening. It's time to start thinking about those tailors. We got a succubus, but that may or may not be permanent. But tailors, extra bodies through things like portal wardrobes, all of that might be on the menu.
Yeah, and this is good because by getting rid of those other units, you're able to add more functionality into your board at this point, which is nice. So this is where things are going to start heating up, and we're going to see some actual composition play. Oh, and it does look like we lost our Gene. So, GG's Biomancer.
GG's.
So we're down to 6. We're down to 6, and Bearskin is still at 20 HP.
Yoshitsune on 2 with a shooting star treasure. No extra bodies being generated, but also an upgraded star child. That looks very powerful. However, the Tempe hits right into it, getting kind of a perfect trade.
Ooh, yes.
And the stars are not quite
And
enough.
down
for
goes
GG.
Yoshi.
Well played. We're top 5, just like that.
Yeah, we are. Things are speeding up, that's for sure.
Tikuwabu hard charging here with another multi on the board, and you look at the stats on that Tempe, it went from 170 to almost 300. Depending how you stack the items, it certainly is possible to get it over 300 as we're seeing. I like that we put the big dagger on the multi though last turn, but that had to be also partially a matchup call too. We looked at what that last board was. Tikuwabu scouting constantly. Had to have guessed that a big range character in the back was going to be very useful. But look at that. You buy a shield out of the shop and instantly you got like a 50 attack multi in the back.
Yep. And not to change the subject too much here, but I do just want to do a quick shout out again to the Kickstarter. I'm looking at it right now, and we did break the $2,000 mark. So thank you so much, everybody.
That's so cool.
And just a quick reminder, if we do reach that pledge amount within the first 24 hours, it gets on the front page of Kickstarter. And that's huge because that's so many more eyes that are seeing this. So thank you so much to everybody that's pushed it this far. And we're just trying real hard to hit that initial amount within the first 24 hours. So thank you.
Yeah, shout out to Laralass, of course, and all of this too.
Totally, yeah.
Much appreciation for the love from the community on that one, because this doesn't happen. Lara sure can do a lot by himself, but he can't do everything.
And I'm astounded by him every day. I mean, you look at this game as just a solo dev passion project, essentially, because it's not like he's really making much off of this. Everything that's currently being made is going right back into the game. So for him to have stuck with it and to be continuing to make updates at the speed that he is, seriously, round of applause.
Livy, this is really cool. We've put almost all of our best items on the Tempe, stuck it in slot 4. We saw just big characters on the other side of the board, but no scam. If there's no Taylor to take that Tempe down, it could just absorb the entire front line on Kaisop's board.
That's going to be a chunky Tempe.
And I love that we've got a position 1 Succubus that immediately gets hit, unfortunately.
Ugh.
That would have made 2 Fluffs go bonk
Yep.
if that had a chance to shoot. And look at that Tempe just doing its job, absorbing hit after hit after hit, surviving, unyielding, surviving another hit.
Fantastic.
And that wins us the fight. Kaisop does have a Crown of Crystal, though, so Kaisop is not out.
Oh, just kidding. Extra GGs, I guess, because you fooled me.
Look at those stars. Look at that Oberon.
Wow, just look at the difference in health between our top 2 and our bottom 3.
Yeah, Fire Oak does not want to give this one to Tiku Wabu for free, and Tiku Wabu out here showing that they're prepared to just pry it out of everybody else's hands.
Yeah.
Do whatever it takes. And here comes the scouting, and here comes the board repositioning, and here comes the giant Tempe to eat all the fluffs was a good play, and we know Tiku Wabu was on top of it, focused, paying attention. We still haven't Elaine the songstress, Livy.
She's doing work. Let's be real.
What,
Elaine
singing
is
songs to the dwarves?
She is carrying this board on her adorable little fairy back.
And there's Admirian. We like it. I wonder.
Oh, Elaine went bye-bye.
So now we've got a full board of big stats. There's nothing smaller than a 50-50 on the board. I still wonder, I didn't pay a close attention to the scout. I noticed the succubus isn't going away. I think when you got a board where a lot of your stats are powered by multi, it's really nice to have slots where you put something like a succubus in. But I guess in this spot, you're just looking at a bunch of stars and the HP is better than the scam. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. This play makes sense.
I would be nervous going up against this Sundiata's board. Stars are, they're stat eaters. They're scary.
Well, and they're going to be big enough as long as that Oberon can live, and we don't have a way to scam it right now.
Yeah.
We don't have any flying. There's nothing we're going to do that gives us a shot to take the Oberon out before the stars get to start firing, so we're going to kind of use our smaller dwarves as the sacrifices up front. They're big enough to trade through Sundiata's front line, and they can eat up some of the big star shots, and hopefully Tempe survives in the back of the fight to finish it. I think that's kind of the game plan.
Yep. Do we even know
so what did Sundiata upgrade? Was it?
Yeah, I was literally just going to ask that same question, because they've gotten both of the upgrades.
Oh yeah, and those stars are shooting every
Yeah,
single time.
they
There's
are.
no world where you stop that. That's too many summons. It's too many attacks. But look at the Tempe.
Oh,
like I was saying,
that's nuts.
you leave the Tempe in the back and you hope it's enough. And sure enough, GG's to Zephyrus.
Yeah, GG's indeed. That was actually incredible because that was not an unimpressive stars board for this stage of the game. So
yeah, the stars were certainly big enough to deal with the threat. The only thing that they couldn't handle were the stats on that one big Tempe carries you for a while, doesn't it?
Yep. You just need a meat shield sometimes, and Tempe served that purpose this round.
I wonder what we're considering for Symbol of Unity. Holly's Gold, if you want extra money, sure, that always makes sense.
Sure.
But Symbol of Unity, usually I think about Angelic Commander, I think about High Demon, and I know Tempe is an aura, but Tempe is an aura that doesn't care about Symbol of Unity. It's only getting buffs from its items.
Right.
So I wonder if there is some upside to that I'm not. Tiku Wabu's over here doing the math, making considerations, goes for the money instead.
Money is never a bad thing, especially when you're still looking for a few last key pieces here, potentially more items.
What I'm curious about here, Livy, I don't play a ton of dwarves, so I don't often end up in a dwarf mirror situation like this, but we see Pastolero also on a very formidable Admiri powered dwarf board. You know, stats that look like they're on par with, maybe even bigger in some spots, smaller in some others, but on par more or less here with Tikuwabu's board. I see Tikuwabu making a lot of changes, buying some items, repositioning a lot of things. Oh, the Succubus is now jumping back on the board. I wonder if Tikuwabu's a little more experienced in a dwarf mirror than I am.
Well, it's really nice that this Succubus is just around to put in and take out as we need it. I mean, it can really make a huge difference depending on the board, the specific board that we're facing. You know, like with that Fluff board, granted, the Succubus got taken out immediately, but that's a great board to play a Succubus against, but we don't necessarily want it in every round, so this is good that we have that option.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing I love most about multi-powered dwarf boards. You can add a little bit of scam. All right, and here we go. Pastolero's Dwarves. Now the Genie Sandstorm gets value breaking a Smithy Shield. We'll have to see where the Cersei's Cup goes. That could be fight deciding if it hits the Tempe. It does not. Hits a Smithy. So it doesn't look like Pastolero is going to have enough to get through this 800 health Tempe, I don't think.
No, it is not looking like it. It's not looking even close.
And no.
Wow, GG.
That's going to be a KO. GG, well played.
We are top
Tempe reigns
2.
supreme.
There is a real possibility
Livy.
this is ending in 3.
Livy. This Fire Oak has to make it happen here or it's all over. But Fire Oak is no slouch. Magic Scarf with your Tempe. Looking at the Sintamani Stone, but double aura on the Tempe maybe? Are we thinking that the stats are becoming less important? Fire Oak is going to know how these stats that Fire Oak's built stack up to the stats that Tikuwabu's built. And Fire Oak is a big purveyor of employing scam when necessary. Notably, both players have a Chrono Crystal, so nobody's going to get knocked out to some shenanigans and just go away easily.
That's true. And what HP is our resident pig at? Because...
Oh,
21.
21.
Okay.
21.
So there is a chance
So
that
neither
the
one of them
chrono
is gonna
could pop, but it's unlikely in my opinion. Oh, and we're
Well, 20
picking
is
up the
max
HP
damage.
spell too. Oh, 20 is.
Oh yeah. Neither one of them was going to do 20 to each other though. There's no shot that
Yeah.
a fully upgrade. Right. It's going to be a win by a unit or 2 or 3 sort of situation because these boards are both big.
Yep, I agree.
But that said, it's going to be a few fights to crack a Chrono Crystal. It's going to come down, I think, less to who can build the bigger, better, badder stats, and more it's going to come down to who can take out the other person's best units most effectively.
Right.
We're looking at the preview entrance, and Fire Oak's board looks behind stats-wise for sure. I don't know. We gotta strap in for a bit of a sequence here. This won't end in a fight or two. It's gonna be a 3-4 fight sequence, I think.
Apologies, just have some things going on in the background here.
No, you're good. You're good. Oinksburg coming in top 2 though. A brand new hero. Fire Oak playing brand new heroes and doing it successfully. Let's see what Fire Oak's done. Oh, Fire Oak.
Okay.
Fire Oak's thinking scam.
Yep, you said it. You said
Fire
that
Oak does
Fire
not
Oak
wanna give this one
knows
away.
when to put the scam in, and boy, oh.
When
Okay.
scam backfires.
Okay. We scammed
Well.
ourselves. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we beat up Fire Oak this time.
Wow,
We get the better end
we
of that
really
bargain.
did.
The Succubus.
I was not expecting that. I saw Fire Oak's board and was not expecting this.
Well, the thing is, Fire Oak doesn't have the capacity to generate a lot of tokens for that Dr. Frank, so we only saw one summon. It was a fool. It did absolutely nothing. And it's not going to be Tiku Wabu attacking a succubus into a succubus that hits Fire Oak's Medusa straight back into, or not Medusa, Brave Tailor. Wow, sorry, I don't usually do that.
It's been a weird day.
These broadcasts, but my old game names are leaking. That fight run out's not going to happen every time, but Fire Oak's board is behind right now. Fire Oak can certainly hit a massive scam that could handle dwarves, and Fire Oak understands the assignment appears to be building into it at the moment. Fire Oak right now can't win these fights with just that. Fire Oak needs more evil tokens. Fire Oak was lined up to build a big stat board. Wait, they're both playing Sin of Mani Stone too?
Oh yeah.
Are they playing the same game?
And Tiku with the I can't remember the spell name, but the unexpected pig pickup there is kind of huge. Depending on what that hits.
Oh yeah, Cersei's Cup into that
Cersei's
wolf.
Cup, thank you.
You don't get any extra summons at the back end of the fight. Yeah, no. We're looking at Celery Tea. I love it. Okay. Tiku Wabu, not content to just be ahead on stats. Clearly we are. And it's building. The smithies are scaling. Technically, the board is scaling every turn, even if not by leaps and bounds. And you kind of got to get more multis. That's kind of how you really spike. But deciding to go ahead and save up a Celery Tea, not wanting to sell anything off the bench for it. Okay, we're going to add in a little bit of counter scam here to supplement our Medusa, or our succubus. You ever supplement the succubus?
Only when necessary.
Yeah.
And I can't even tell that it is
Fire
here.
Oak's got a little more scam. Well, now the nice thing for Fire Oak is if Tiku Wabu Succubus hits it. Oh, Fire Oak's got a flying
my
succubus
goodness,
now attacking
okay,
the
okay.
monkeys in the back.
All right.
Succubus into succubus. You'll love to see it. A mirror in the same spot as Tempe. It's huge.
That is... Oh, gosh. it couldn't be done.
It's huge, but the Tempe still slayed its mirror counterpart. Had enough attack to survive a succubus hit. Took that down too. Had enough attack to survive the hero attack.
That is unreal.
Oh, wow. And now we have a
But the crystal still isn't gone. We've still got chances to turn this around because the crystal is still there. For both players,
this
granted,
isn't over
but...
yet. This could go back and forth a little bit too. Fire Oak could win a couple of fights here. I mean, this could still go. I said 3 or so rounds ago, this is possibly going to go, like 3, 4, 5 more rounds. This could still go 3, 4, 5 more rounds from here.
Yeah, it's true. And like you were saying earlier, we expect, I haven't looked at the standing sheet and done the math yet, but several more people will be live. So it's going to open up to a few more people's game here if it doesn't end.
Yeah. No, the hope of anybody who is not Tiku Wabu is currently resting in Fire Oak's hands for this tournament today. We're looking at a dramatic reveal, maybe thinking about swapping out a bearskin. I saw the spell get touched. We do have the exact amount of gold left to fling it, and the bearskin's not really providing value. I don't know if we were to do that, what we'd be looking for.
So actually, Kaisop is the only other person that is live currently next to Tiku. Obviously, if Fire Oak takes this game, they will be live as well. So next game, if there is one, we'll have 3 people, which actually is less than I was thinking.
Yeah, Fire Oak goes live. Well, would have gone live with the second place finish, but we know that won't be enough from this spot.
Right.
Savitri. Oh, that is filthy. Yeah, I mean,
that's actually upsetting.
You're not going to take an extra life here?
I'm actually mad about it. I'm actually mad about it.
Have the extra life with the Chrono Crystal. I wonder what we're debating. Are we just going to save it?
That's cheating.
Oh, we're going to stay bearskin for one more buff. That's cheeky. Ooh. Yeah, you can save it over. Smart play. Smart play.
This is why Tiku is in day 2 for not just the first time, but for the second time.
Well, we talked about it was no accident that these two made day 2
right,
both months in a row. And you're seeing it. Yeah, you're right. That spider got some good value. We do have Archdemon on the board. We didn't have that before. Our Succubi didn't really get a lot of work done. And
my
the Celery
gosh.
Tea just destroying Fire Oak.
All right, well, Fire Oak is
Tiku
down.
Wabu doesn't want to leave it up to chance.
Fire Oak is down to their last life here, and that is cheating, Tiku. I can't even believe that.
One thing you may not know, not you, Livy, just the generic you.
Oh,
if
I
you're not
probably
aware,
don't know.
when you're offered a hero or a treasure, when you're offered a select option like that, while the treasure select, while the hero select, while that's up, you can't do anything else. You can't reposition your board. You can't move anything else around. But if you set your board before you make a play like that, like Tiku Wabu did, you get everything in the sequence that you want it. You get everything just perfect. And then you make the treasure or you play the dramatic reveal for the hero swap. You can just sit there. You don't have to select anything before the end of the turn, and you can wait until the start of the next turn to take it. That can be relevant in a spot like that. Like we took, it's probably one more bearskin buff on one thing, but we took the one bearskin buff because why not? And now we get to be Savitri this turn. We obviously had to take it this turn if we wanted to play this turn, so you can't float it for more than one turn unless you want to skip an entire turn.
Right. No, that is something I was aware of, but I'll be honest, if I'm ever in that position, I'm always too excited by what I'm offered to ever think about just letting it go until the next turn. It's just that information goes straight out the back door when I'm in a position like this, because I'm just thinking about what's in front of me, not what could be, and that's why I'm not on this level.
Livy says, ooh, treasure.
Yeah, pretty much. Ooh, shiny.
Well, we got Flying Succubus, we know. We've got Flying Dwarves, Flying Succubi. Well, that's a good mirror, but it really kind of doesn't matter unless it mirrors in the Tempe spot.
Yep.
That's a lot of stats, though.
These Franks are going to have to do
down,
serious
so that can't
work.
beat us up. Taylor in the right spot is going to do a lot of work. The mirror, actually, though, quite good. Of course, double Celery T is not perfect into Dwarves because they don't lose all their stats like Aura Unit would. Really needed that Taylor to hit the Tempe, and it didn't.
That's it. Tempe. Wow.
It's over. There are no extra lives for Fire Oak. Tiku Wabu closing it out in 3?
That is like unreal. Holy cow, I can't believe. Wow.
Wow, Livy. Wow.
What a fantastic game. And what a fantastic tournament this was. I can't believe we finished it in 3.
I didn't expect a 3. We haven't had a 3-game run out in any of these day 2 so far, and we've had a few of them now.
Right.
We've seen them go to 4 games, and that's not that much longer. But Tiku Wabu just
annihilating,
wanted to win, didn't pull it off last time, decided to do it this time in style.
Yep.
Giant Tempe just running over the lobby, huh?
Absolutely. Wow, that was I'm in disbelief, Horse, honestly. I'm like still soaking that in. That's like I didn't want it to happen. I wanted more rounds, but also
Tiku Wabu had 3 lives to work with. Give Tiku Wabu 5 more turns to play is going to turn into a cat.
Not only that, but they were up at 31 health at the end of that too, because they just kept taking the health spells when they came across them. Oh, did you lose me?
I'm just left with GG well played. Everybody today, truly.
Seriously.
Everybody. It is. If you've played day 1, you know how difficult it is to get to day 2. It is not easy. There is a lot of luck involved, but there's also a lot of skill involved. You have to have enough skill to massage the luck in some regards, if that makes any sense. And
yeah,
it's no coincidence. It's no accident that these were our top 8 today. All very skilled players who went through a difficult field to get here. But Tiku Wabu just was focused today, ready to take advantage of every opportunity, played sharp, got the job done.
Yep. Yeah, big congratulations to Tiku. That was really quite the showing. I'm sorry, Yuck, but boy, am I glad I got to hop in here for that, because that was just so exciting, and I know I wouldn't have been paying as close attention if I were still just in the background, but wow, well deserved, well played. That was sincerely incredible. And GG's to Fire Oak. You tried. Boy, did you put in a good effort there. I know there was a lot of pressure on you because you were really trying to keep that first place away from Tiku, but
there was nothing more Fire Oak could have done in that situation. That board was super scammy. That board was super scammy. It's what you need to do to have a chance to win those fights. And I think Fire Oak did have some odds, but Tiku Wabu's board was just
Yeah,
thick,
if that
redundant,
board
shielded,
couldn't have
unyielding.
stopped Tiku, nothing was going to. So definitely the best effort that could have been made on Fire Oak's end there. But yeah, good job to all the players today. Let's see, do we want to recap points real quick? See where everybody ended? Tiku is obviously our winner with 28 points. They had a first, a second, and a first, which is almost as good as you can possibly get. After that, we've got both Fire Oak and Kaisop with 16 points. Congrats to both of you. Then we have Stewie and Biomancer after that with 12. Then we've got Yoshi with 9. Pastolero with 10. Yep, Pastolero with 10. Yoshi with 9. And Zeph with 5. Fantastic job. No matter how many points you ended with, great job making it today too. And just for sticking it out, because these were some intense games.
Well, Livy.
Well, Horse.
I think maybe it's time we shout some people out. I want to definitely shout out Yuck. I would normally be shouting you out at this moment for making this happen, but definitely props to you. Before we talk about Yuck, props to you. Thank you so much for organizing and keeping Yuck and I on track for the time that I was here with Yuck, but I know it would have been fun to work with you and Yuck all day long. I appreciate you in the background, and I want to make sure you get the love you deserve for that.
Maybe sometime in the future, me, you, and Yuck can hang. That would be fun.
Would be chaos.
Chaos Mode Caster Edition.
But I also want to shout out Yukmouth, who, absolute legend. You'll see me casting things with Yuck again. You'll see Livy casting. You'll see Yuck casting again. This is just one weather incident. So sad we didn't get to have him all day, but happy we got to have him for the time we got to have him. Shouts to legend Yukmouth for sure.
Yep, 100%.
Also want to shout out Lara Les. We're not here without Lara.
Nope. Lara is the man, the myth, the legend. We appreciate everything he does. We appreciate the blood, sweat, and tears. The bombardment of questions in the Discord. I mean, he really does it all, and he keeps this together. So, yeah, like Horsethief said, we wouldn't be here without him. So thank you for sure to Lara.
And another person really integral in making today happen. Thank you again, Turnt Individual.
Yes, thank you.
And before we go, I do want to touch back in, Livy, on a couple of things.
Hey, wait a second.
Like the Kickstarter, Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, yes, but I've got one more person to thank, and that's you.
Me?
You.
Hey, wait. Allegedly.
Thank you for being here and for casting, and especially for solo casting for like almost an entire match. Appreciate you. That was stressful, but you killed it. So thank you. Good job, Horse.
I appreciate you, Livy. Thank you for that. You know I love it. I'm happy to be here.
So yeah, back to the horse starter. Oh my gosh, I need
the horse starter. We don't talk about that. Less said, best be.
Coming soon. The Kickstarter campaign. So again, huge thank you to every single person that has backed it so far. We are approaching the halfway mark of reaching our pledge amount. Again, if we reach that pledge amount within that first 24 hours, we are on the front page of Kickstarter, and that is a huge deal. We're going to reach more people that way. So if you have anything to contribute, we sincerely appreciate it. If not, thank you for being here, and thank you for playing the game and supporting that way, because that is not nothing as well. But for anybody that only has a little to give, we've got packages starting as low as like $5 or $6. So there's something for everybody in there, no matter how much you can give. It's all appreciated just as much. But yeah, thank you to everybody that has contributed so far, because to be at almost 50% in a 3-game tournament is wild.
Yeah, while this tournament may not happen without Turnt Individual, without, the folks that we shouted out previously, it really doesn't happen without the community. And that is impressive that the Kickstarter's already half funded in the first couple hours here.
Yeah,
You know, you said
exactly.
you wanted to do it in 24 hours, and it's well on its way. But we truly, there is no show without every last one of us, right? And it's not just you in the audience. We're all part of this together. I consider myself part of this community. I love this community. There's a great group. We found ourselves a nice little cozy home with our auto battler enthusiast pals, and it's great. So
Yeah.
thanks everyone for not only supporting the Kickstarter, but for supporting us, supporting this game, supporting, just our ability to do these things.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. The community here rocks, and I am just honored and humbled to be amongst you all. I do want to shout out the crystal code again, though, because that's going away pretty quick here, sooner than anticipated.
Yeah.
So use !crystals in the chat. You will get a code that you can put in the game client, and you will get 4,000 free crystals just for watching. So make sure you take advantage
Libby,
of that.
That's only until the end of this broadcast, correct?
Correct. Yep, that's going away.
So
soon.
you better launch Fairy Tale Fables right now and plug that code in.
Yeah.
If you haven't done it yet, now's the time. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your computer. You can, wherever.
It doesn't matter where.
Fairy Tale
Just do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
4,000
now's the
free
time.
crystals is nothing to sniff at. So thanks, Lara, for hooking us all up with that for sure. Another reminder that for Apple users, the new app is now out on the Apple Store. So iOS users, you're getting hooked up with a new app. It got approved. It's out. Android users, it is still in the works. We're still just waiting on approval, but it is coming soon, TM. So keep hanging on for that. Hopefully it comes out sooner rather than later. We're just sort of at the mercy of the App Store, and
Hopefully that one's just soon, kind of sans the TM, because it
Yeah.
really should be soon. It's all ready to go.
yeah, no, on our end everything's done. It's just a matter of waiting for them to give us the thumbs up. So yeah, keep waiting for that. It should be out soon. Shout out to all the new art and the artists that have contributed. We're getting more and more art like every week now, it seems. So this is super exciting. I know a lot of people have been anxious to see that AI art. As much as I love some of it, people have been anxious to see that fade into obscurity, and I get it.
I've never minded it, but I don't know that I've ever loved it. I think I have enjoyed memes. AI art sure
the
is
memes
fun to
have
meme on,
been-
especially because you're not really insulting anybody when you meme on AI art. You're just insulting a robot that has no feelings. So yeah, the memes, we're minus some memes, but we can always keep our memes, and
Yeah.
then we can have sweet art at the same time.
Yep.
But big shout out. I love too, Livy, that when you do a hover over on a card,
It shows
it
the artist.
has an artist. Yeah, the little credit there is
Yep.
on the hover over on the little tooltip pop up. You can see the artist name right there.
Yes.
In game.
I love that too. I think that's an awesome shout out, just to make sure everybody knows who's responsible for what, because all of the art that has been done by the individual artists has been fantastic so far. I'm so excited to see what comes next. But because there's so much art, I don't always remember who made what. So it's nice to be able to browse through and see who did that.
Well, Livy, I think that's it for me. I covered everything I wanted to talk about today. We watched some really good Fairy Tale Fables get played.
Yeah,
watched
we
some
sure did.
Really smart decisions be made. We didn't actually get to see ultra late game at all today because these lobbies go way too fast, and that is a side effect of everybody just playing to win
Yeah.
and get the job done as fast as possible. But today was just a lot of fun for me, and made all the better by the unexpected getting to spend a little bit of time with you. Thank you, Livy, for everything you do.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks everybody for joining us. That's really all I got. Livy?
No, totally my pleasure. I'm glad to have been able to join you for at least a little bit. Apologies again for any hiccups earlier in the stream. Discord was not the nicest to me today, but you know what? We powered through it. No big deal. Trying to think if there's anything else. Join the Discord. For anybody that's not in there, join the Discord. You're going to find things out first. You can give feedback on the game. You can report bugs. You can ask Lara directly questions. You can ask the moderators and the admins questions. You can get tips from some of the best players in the game. I know that several players in today's day 2 are frequently in there just handing out advice for free. So if you want to polish your own skills, it is a great place to do that. Other than that, I think we're good. I do want to promise that I will not end the stream and raid somebody before the results are in today. I know that last month I spoiled things a little bit, but I won't do that this time.
Well, last month, Livy, for what it's worth, I was watching because I was not casting, and when the raid went, it went just fine for me. I didn't have any issues. I sat there for the end of the games, watched them played out, then I followed the raid wherever it was we happened to go when you raided. So it didn't spoil for me, so I don't think it ended up for everyone, but yeah.
Oh, there was a good 100+ people that got sent to the channel that I raided.
Well, we'll make sure that doesn't happen this time.
Yep, no, I learned my lesson.
Raiding?
I'm not sure yet. I think that's going to be a surprise because I'm not 100% sure if I will raid.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, TBD if I do. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, Horse. Thank you, Yuck. Thanks, Lara. You are all the best. And we'll see you guys next month.
Bye-bye for now.